Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good afternoon, and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 4 and episode number 582 of the Daily Beaver Nooner Show? Daily Beaver Morning Show, 100% Canadian. Because, yeah, I mean, it's still morning some places in Canada. Is it? Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's British Columbia would be 9 a.m., so
Yes.
technically, yeah.
So, yes, so good morning,
after.
BC. You actually get to join us live. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Today, recording day is Monday, February 17th, 2025, and it is Family Day if you happen to be living in Ontario, Alberta, New Brunswick, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia, I think, if I am not mistaken.
I think it's 9 provinces. It's not a holiday in Quebec. It's not a holiday in Newfoundland or the territories, but everybody else has got the day off, unless, of course, you're a federal government employee, in which case you are at work because it was not part of their collective bargaining agreement. So Crown Corps and federal government employees are at work today. So yeah. I know this because I was working at a Crown Corp for a few years, and I never had this day off during that time period.
There we go. Well, I was correct. It is Family Day in those 5 provinces. I don't know what they call it in other provinces. But
in Manitoba, it's Louis Riel Day.
Oh, yes, that's true.
And in Prince Edward Island, it's Islander Day.
Ah, yes. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh.
Nova Scotia, it's Family Day, and everybody else. It's not a federal holiday. It's just a provincial thing. No. I'd like to see it federal, and quite frankly, I'd like to see us have a long weekend in January, because everybody goes, well, you get New Year's Day off, and I go, yeah, but is that really a holiday? And it sometimes falls in the middle of the week, and with all the Christmas stuff, you're exhausted, and then you have to wait till Family Day, and if you're a federal government employee, you don't get the day off. So your next long weekend is Easter, and that can vary from March to April depending upon the Catholic calendar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a long stretch from New Year's Eve, or New Year's Day, until whenever Easter is for a lot of people. That's a long stretch with no long weekends.
I agree.
And it's, at a time of the year when people could probably use an extra couple of days off just to rest and recover and relax. I mean, it's tough. Anyway.
I agree. Okay. And also on the not as brighter side, today marks 500 days since Hamas launched its October 7th attack on southern Israel. So there will be definitely a certain amount of press, because 500 days is definitely a milestone. There's been more hostage releases, and there was some talk about entering the second of the 3 phases, or starting to talk about the second of the 3 phases of the ceasefire deal. And with that, sorry, pardon me, there was a little tension last week, making it seem like they weren't going to go forward with it, and it seems that they are still going forward with it. But you still have the undercurrent in all of that, uh, being that you got Trump talking about Gaza Riviera,
Yeah.
which is that's messing some stuff up. And new plot twist: now you have Netanyahu talking about shifting the war theater to Iran and finishing the job there. So, yeah, have
Do you have a bit of a cold, sir?
I do have a bit of a cold.
Yeah,
Yes, you can tell.
like, your voice sounds rougher than it
Yes, yeah,
normally does.
I definitely do have a bit of a cold.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah,
I'm not having I'm not smelling burnt toast.
no, 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 no. Uh, so on that,
If you're a certain age, you'll know
yes,
exactly what that reference was.
exactly is yes. So yes, it seems that on that front, that the U.S. is probably going to back Israel on this one because during the first Trump term, well, the U.S. ripped up the Iran nuclear deal and seemed to want
Mhm.
to apply some maximum pressure. And according to sources, U.S. intelligence agencies recently warned the White House that this year Israel will likely attempt uh, to take some action to reduce Iran's nuclear capabilities somehow, which brings upon it with it the risk of a wider war breaking out in the Middle East. So, yay! But before we go into the other stuff, because those are milestones we had to talk about, big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsor, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvin Moon Publishing, and psychictarot.ca. The name has changed, Mr. Grizzly, so we'll
I'm sorry,
probably have
what?
to do some edits. It's no longer CanadianTarot.ca, but psychictarot.ca.
Oh, okay. I'll
So
have to
you'll
fix that
probably
up.
have to make a change at some point. Pardon me, I have to dab every now and then because I have a
Oh, yeah.
cold.
First
um,
nasal drip, I guess, yeah.
yes, indeed,
Um,
indeed. So it's not going to look very elegant, unfortunately, but the show must go on, and the subjects demand information, so the queen must serve. Hey, doesn't have to be. It doesn't always have to be pretty. It just has to be effective. Um, so yes. So, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
I think I'm pretty good, actually. Oddly
Yay.
enough, I think I'm pretty good. I mean, I took Lola out earlier, around, I guess it was 9:30. I slept in late this morning. Didn't hear my alarm at 6, didn't hear my alarm at 6:30. Bridget didn't either. We were both just dead to the world, and I slept till after 9:30, I think. I'm not even sure. Took Lola out for a walk in the sunshine, and she's like, "Oh, this is great. This is great. This is great." And then the wind, at one point, we're walking along, and a big gust of wind came up and blew all the snow on her, and she literally jumped through my legs behind me like she was afraid. I'm like, this dog that fears nothing got afraid of the wind. It was kind of cute, because she didn't know what to make of it, right?
Right.
She's never experienced that before because she's only 4 years old, and we haven't had snow like this since long before she was born.
Probably, yeah.
So she doesn't understand like a drifting snow, a blowing. She didn't get it, and it's very sunny out, but the wind is howling. It's deceptive. Like if I turn on the camera here, you can see outside. It's deceptive. It looks lovely outside, but it's not. It's very cold, and the wind is blowing everywhere. Well, you can see the flag, right? Let's go full size, so you can see that the flag is flapping quite dramatically. So yeah, the wind is pretty treacherous out there in the nation's capital today, and as a result, my doggo was a little frightened by it, which I chuckled. I chuckled.
Oh,
You know Lola, she's not an aggressive dog. I mean, at
no, no,
all.
not at
Like
all.
but she's defensive. She'll go into if attacked, she'll go, what's going on? Why are you doing that? And then she responds accordingly, like any animal would. But when the wind blows in her face, she jumps backwards between my legs, and I thought that was just adorable. Like, "Daddy,
Aw.
take care of me, take care of me."
She's so adorable. I love her.
Yeah, me too.
Ah, man. Okay, Kits Cubs. There's a lot to go through today, but I'm going to start with a couple of things before we get into some clips. Also, for those who are wondering, because it is Family Day and in the U.S. it's President's Day, the stock markets on both sides of the border are closed today for trading. Um, on Friday evening, there was or Saturday evening there was this hockey night in Canada, and there was a match being played, Canada versus the United States, and as predicted, somebody on the PA system said, "Please, out of respect, do not boo," and then pretty much everybody said, "Yeah, no," and there was the booing. And then there was the "O Canada," and again, probably the loudest decibels ever for an "O Canada" ever. And then, some weird stuff happened in the match because, I remember when I was a kid, fighting, was a thing in hockey and would happen regularly pretty regularly, but now to have 3 fights in a hockey match is pretty rare, and to have 3 fights in 9 seconds
Yeah. A-
is
An international match, 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, like,
yeah.
holy shit.
Yes. So at 2 seconds, at 3 seconds, and at 9 seconds, there were fights. And it would seem to be, I'm not sure about the second one, uh, but th they were instigated by the other side.
Mhm. They were.
So we as Canadians are doing the nonviolent protest because we know the orange shit gibbon watches a lot of TV and cares about how we come across on TV. So when they play the national anthem and we boo it, and then they get all apoplectic, go, "Oh my god, I can't believe they booed our national anthem." It's like, dude, have you seen what you guys have done? You've threatened to annex us. You know, unclutch the pearls. You know, if booing your if us booing your national anthem does that to you, smell your own armpits.
No,
What are you guys giving off?
they're gonna do
So,
that.
I mean but seriously, come on, man. So, but that's going to get to them and it's going to get to him. And he likes everybody loves Trump. And while there's everybody doesn't love Trump. And because it's sports and it's because it's Canadians who are booing a national anthem, because that's going to get carried all around the world, right? That's going to be played in Europe and whatnot like this. And
Mhm.
that definitely goes counter to the everybody loves Trump narrative. Plus, it incites a lot of people or it gives a lot of people some ideas. And it's not
Well,
like he's making himself loved right
no.
now. So, so they have a problem with that, and it's like, but that's we're being clever and we're being effective because we understand that he's that TV president. So we are communicating with him through TV. But they come and they bring punches.
Well, the thing that kills me the
Come
most
on.
is the folks going, "Well, you shouldn't do this because," I go, "We're not booing your country. We're booing your president. How do you not know that? We're booing your president because he has threatened to annex us many times. If we threatened to annex you, what would your response be?"
Yeah,
Well, you shouldn't do that. I go, what would your response be if
you should.
Canada threatened to annex the United States of America?
Yes, so I understand you think we shouldn't do that. Now let's focus on your actions, please.
Yeah, yeah.
What shouldn't you do? And then who did the thing they shouldn't do first? Like, come on, man. I mean,
Like,
it's this
seriously?
literally, it's like, "Don't boo our national anthem" is literally lie back and take it, and again, it does not surprise me that the president who was adjudicated in civil court as being, for all intents and purpose, a rapist, is
Yeah,
acting like someone who wants to climb all over us and ask us not to say anything about it. I'm sorry, but that's what's going on. It's
it's
par for the
exactly
horse.
what's happening.
So, uh, 3 fights, they brought the violence, we brought booing, you know, uh, I guess that's kinda typical. Karma, the person that started the first fight, I believe it is, has lower body injury
Mm.
somehow, and, one of the Americans punched himself in the face,
Well, that, sometimes happens.
knocked his own helmet off. If that is not illustrative, I do not know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that
I have
happened.
this I have the clip of the thing that you sent me, and So I want to address something here. So a lot of people said, there's 2,000 people that showed up, and somebody said no, there were a few hundred that showed up, and somebody else said the room holds 215 people. I'm like,
No.
the venue holds 7,072. That's the maximum capacity for the entire venue. And they're like, he held it in this room. Even if the room was expanded, he held it in room 213. It can expand into 214 to make one big space, and it can still only hold like 500 people. There were 200 people there.
Okay. Now, here's the thing, right? No, but here's the thing, right? I have seen and heard everything. I've seen the Toronto Star one said hundreds were there. You
Mhm.
say 200. I just before coming on this show listened to the Hurly Burly and heard Scott Reed say that there was maybe about 5,000 to 6,000 there. And I just read a CTV article that says that there was some overflow that people couldn't get into the main room.
Yeah, so I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe. I've heard so many conflicting stories about how many people were there. Now, I was at the NAC across the canal with Bridget. We were watching the Tina Turner musical, thanks to the Ray girl who gave us the tickets. The show was amazing.
Yes. Good.
Amazing. I wept. I didn't cry. Wept. And I'm not afraid to say it. It was that emotional. So we come out after the show, and I look across the street, and I didn't see anybody in that damn building. Now,
Well, it was the afternoon.
Thousands of Canadians braved the snowy weather, and I'm like, no, the snow didn't start until after your hate rally was over.
Yep.
The snow didn't start to fall until almost 4 o'clock.
Yep.
I know because at 1 o'clock,
Yep.
I was inside the NAC watching a musical, and there was no snow on the ground, no snow falling at that point.
Yeah.
So he can't even tell the truth about the goddamn weather.
Yeah.
Which is easily provable that it was not snowing when that started.
Right.
Like, please.
I know. So we're getting. I am not going to say for a fact that it was hundreds because I've seen enough sources say that it was mud. So we'll go there. We won't discuss crowd size in this case because the numbers are just all over the place on this one.
Nobody's been able to confirm anything.
But there's been two I do trust, right? So certain Scott Reed is the person who said it. He's a liberal, so I have no reason for him to understand why he would be going there and saying that that there would be about 5,000 if there were just 800. The other one, TTV, and even though people have problems with legacy media, if you get it wrong, you're going to be called out. So I'm not sure where the Toronto Star had the hundreds gathered to the rally. Maybe it was just a very, very early article, early in the day when people were just starting to gather. But from what I could tell, from what I heard as well, it wasn't the entire all space that was used. There was a certain space, and then there was other spaces that were sectioned off with drapes, so it makes the room look more full and that type of stuff.
And the media was corralled into a certain area where they couldn't leave, they couldn't ask questions, they couldn't. I'm like, wasn't he supposed to make it all about freedom and make Canada the freest nation on earth, which would mean, if that was the case, we'd have these super strong social programs like better dental care, better health care, better social safety nets. ODSP would be replaced by UBI, no more wealth. He's going to make us the freest nation on earth. The freest nations on earth right now have all of these programs that are really strong. They have a housing program. Finland has ended homelessness.
Yes.
Right? So if you're going to make us the freest nation on earth, first thing he's got to do is give press 100% freedom. But at his rallies, he corrals them into a certain area, and they are not allowed to step outside of that area or ask any questions of anyone.
Well, this appears to be a new thing.
But that's his version of freedom.
Yes. But this appears to be a new thing for him. So when this thing was pulled out, so it caught people by surprise because it was all over social media. It's like, wait a minute, this is a little surprising that this would happen. But yes, and there were a lot of people going, well, you're going to disobey that rule, right?
press, and it seems that no, they were all rather quite obedient and decided that they were going to do stenography that day
Yeah.
rather
Instead
than
of
journalism.
reporting. No journalism, no reporting, just stenography.
I don't. Again, it's like if you're not going to fight for your own damn profession,
How can I help you?
I mean, goddamn, your job is to ask questions. Stand there, look pretty, film me. Don't ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask questions to anybody here. Come on, man. Okay, so with this thing, when we talked about it the first time, it was branded at that time as being a nonpartisan rally for everyone to rally around and celebrate the flag. I watched it so you didn't have to. All of it.
Oh, did you?
1 hour and 35 minutes of it. All of it.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Because I will show you the entirety of the part of it that was not partisan. Mr. Grizzly, if you would like to start it right at the beginning, I believe.
I can do that.
And yeah.
That's the nonpartisan part, the beginning.
Room full of proud Canadians singing "Oh Canada" at the top of their lungs. Am I right? It's been incredible to see Canadians from coast to coast to coast show off their pride in our beautiful country.
Et aujourd'hui, nous avons une vraie héroïne canadienne parmi nous. Joan O'Malley a cousu le tout premier drapeau canadien le 6 novembre 1964. Souhaitons la bienvenue à Joan sur la scène.
Bringing on stage the woman who
Today we actually have a true Canadian
Say that
again.
he's
got to say it. He's got to say it.
Okay.
Hero with us. It's Joan O'Malley. She sewed the very first Canadian flag on November the 6th, 1964. Once again, let's welcome Joan to the stage.
Thank you. I remember in 1964 when my dad, Ken Donovan, phoned and asked if I could help him. The Prime Minister needed 3 prototype flags ready to fly up at Harrington Lake the next morning, and this was late on a Friday afternoon. Anyways, I went and did help my dad out, and now 60 years later, I remember that day because when I sewed the flags, I was asked not to say anything about what I had done. So when the flag was official on February the 15th, 1965, I called in sick. I wasn't. And I stayed home and watched it on TV. And as the flag was being raised, I thought, oh, I was one of the lucky ones and the first one to see our flag and be the part of the birth of our flag.
All right, let's pop that. That was the entirety of the nonpartisan part of the rally.
Oh, after this, it just goes nuts, does it?
Yes. Let's keep going.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just watch how it's now. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, let's have the view.
Anyways, and I also have a little story about Pierre. I don't know if he remembers this, but probably about 15 years ago, and we were at a local school in the gym, and Pierre was sitting at a table, and I went and sat down beside him, and I said, Pierre, I think you're going to be my next Prime Minister. And he just looked at me with the look, that's the plan. So I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Flag Day and keep your flags flying on your properties.
Thank you you so much, John, for your kind words and for giving us the most powerful symbol of the greatest country on earth on behalf of Pierre Poilièvre and common sense conservatives all across Canada. I'd like to present you, John.
Okay, wait a second. Sorry. Really?
Uh-huh.
Like, really?
Uh-huh.
This is supposed to be about Flag Day and uniting the nations.
Uh-huh.
Uniting the nation.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Nonpartisan. Let's celebrate Canada on Flag Day, the 60th anniversary of the Canadian flag, the maple leaf that we've all come to know and love, and we wear in our backpacks and our shoulders whenever we travel the world, and people respect us because they immediately see that we're Canadian, they know we're not American, and the attitude towards us changes immediately, and they went political.
Yep.
With a small gift, a Canadian flag from Stornoway, the official residence of the leader of the opposition.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. How incredible it was to have John here for this special event, and this is going to be an important event. To introduce myself, I am Fanny Boulanger, the Conservative.
All right. So that's how it starts. A little bit of a surprise that the person who sewed the flag mentioned that, but hey, that's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Well, especially when you consider who the prime minister was at the time that she sewed that flag, right?
Right. So, but hey, that's fine. But
free country. She can
free country. She is not bound by those rules.
Not at all. Not at all. Let your freak flag fly.
Right. Freedom of expression. But them presenting the piece of flag on behalf of Canada's common sense conservatives.
Yeah.
Then them two do a bit of a shtick for a while, and they start talking about carbon tax, Carney, and all that kind of stuff. And then they bring on Arpon Canna, and he does a little bit of that too. And then they bring on Pierre eventually. Now, if you see like that flag back there, that's a huge ass flag.
Massive.
And if you
Is
see
that the same one that was on the canal the other day, I wonder?
I do not know. And if you see wide lens shots of the room, it is a very intimidating and overwhelming and authoritarian display of flags. It was like it was regime day and not flag day. Like big, a lot, imposing. And I will give Pierre one thing. Is Pierre is very cinematic. All these videos, these little documentaries, the music like this, he knows how to use a musical swell. He knows how to use clips. He doesn't get them from Canada, but he knows how to use clips. And, you know, it could build a narrative and pull on all the heartstrings and do that type of stuff, right? Like visually, right? This is a pretty cool movie that's going on. So what's happening here? Right, because when we told you about this, they're putting this rally together, and they're going to arrange some buses to bring people in.
Quite a number of buses, if memory serves.
Yes, they wanted everybody to come. It was a rally for everybody. We're organizing buses and all that kind of stuff. And then on Friday, he had this big caucus meeting, right, which picked off a lot of members of his cabinet because Friday was Valentine's Day, and he stopped a lot of people from being at home with their sweeties, just like he did on Hanukkah, first day of Hanukkah.
Because,
While he went to a fundraiser, they all stayed and voted.
Yeah.
Now it's Valentine's Day. He's got a rally to do. So you all got to be here, right? And they had this meeting on Friday, and on Friday they're sending emails to people like saying, like, come on out for this thing. And then, later on, like send, staffers, like, bring your friends, bring your family, come. So there was a lot of recruitment of staffers and that type of stuff going on after the big announcement. So when I saw hundreds, I'm thinking at first, it was like, wow, they needed a lot of help. And if you look at the crowd on that side, if you get the wide shot, a lot of them are wearing Canada First T-shirts. So now I understand that the Conservative government does have more money, Conservative Party has more money than God, and could actually buy a T-shirt for 5,000 people and every. But I would assume most likely that there was maybe 100 or so, and staffers are in that section over there. Like this with the Canada First T-shirts to make it look, because again, he's very cinematic in its staging. So that doesn't mean that there weren't more people there, right? Clearly, we got some reports there was definitely enough people there, but in terms of the staging, right? And it seems that they were scrambling to get people there. That there was a time that they thought they might not be filling the rooms. And maybe that is why the rally changed from a rally from everyone from Canada to come. Now, it's supposed to be rebranding, that kind of stuff. But rebranding doesn't mean that this event had to be, I'm going to tell you what all my policies are and all that kind of stuff. It could just been rebranding. I know I've been saying that Canada is broken like this, but now we have to take another tack or whatnot like this or anything. But he would have to explain why it is that he's gone from Canada's broken guy that got us to hate ourselves so much that at an Ecos poll just before Trump was inaugurated, when it asked what was your attachment to, how strong is your attachment to Canada, only 32% of Canadians said we had a strong attachment to Canada. How he went from that guy punching down on us every single day, 6, 7, 8 times a day, to Canada is a proud, strong, free nation.
How can you tell us for the last 2 years that we're broken, and then now you tell us that we're proud?
Well, not only just broken, right? But we're stupid. I mean, the Liberals have that ad, right? We showed it. He had it. They showed it in his Jordan Peterson thing when he said that we're stupid. But we showed it at a press conference recently, just in the past few weeks, where he said it.
Yeah.
Right? This is kind of a whiplash-inducing flip. So you would think that he would be talking to us about how he's gone from one to the other, because, and how we need to rally together. We need to do that. You don't even have to get into policy, right? 15, 20-minute speech. Rah. I'm making a change. I'm in the room. I'm now on board. Let's go. Well, that's not what he did. That's not what he did here.
No.
If you'll go to 2933, Mr. Grizzly, just going to be a couple of seconds. But again, in terms of tone, not sure if this was intentional, if this one was just intended to be what it is, or if it had levels. But a little quip from Pierre.
Okay.
Well, what an incredible crowd to have here. I heard that a snowstorm actually paralyzed Washington the other day, but here in Canada, our capital will never be prevented from celebrating its great national flag by a few snowflakes.
He had to read that off a teleprompter. And poorly at that.
Okay, so I don't know if the snowflakes thing.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Double entendre.
Because it was that day, but as you mentioned, the snowflakes hadn't started falling yet.
Until after this was over.
Yes, so leads me to believe that we opened with a dig at a rally that's supposed to be for everyone to celebrate. Okay, now let's go to 30. Yeah, let's go to 3301, Mr. Grizzly. And Pierre breaks out soft voice again for a little bit, but then he loses it.
Anna and I are deeply grateful that this country made and kept us that promise. And it's actually why we've decided to get into this line of work and fight for it our entire lives. Both of us very...
Wait a second. We decided to get into this line of work?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's we now. Yes.
They've been married for, what, 4 years?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Anna spoke before that, too, as well. She had her moment.
But he's been a politician for almost 21 years, and they've been together for 4... Okay, yeah. Right, yeah.
Very young when we did so. It's
conservative math. The math doesn't math correctly.
It's Evita.
Well, after 9 years of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals.
But they're running as a duo. And in this rebranding, they are going to put her more up front because he's not selling. It's Pierre. It's Juan Pierron and Evita.
I love this.
Move over, Juan. I'll get the people to love me.
I love this from PNC Bio. Go near any of them and mention a trans person or say something bad about Jesus. Check out who is the big snowflake then.
Indeed. So
okay,
let's keep on going with soft voice.
Okay, let me back it up.
I know, eh? It's like, so he can talk in this voice. It's just that he chooses not to 99.87% of the time.
Anna and I are deeply grateful that this country made and kept us that promise.
Okay, they cranked the gain up so high to catch his voice that it's almost feeding back. You can hear the slight feedback ring. If you hear it, you can hear it. They had to crank the gain up to hear him. He got that soft-spoken.
And it's actually why we've decided to get into this line of work and fight for it our entire lives. Both of us very young when we did so. It's why that we've put our names on the line. We are in this fight today because we want to restore the promise the country kept for us and assure every single Canadian who works hard can experience the wonderful Canadian promise the country gave us.
Did you hear it? Welcome staff to Hazel.
But that promise did not happen by accident. It took courageous leadership for us to be here today. And we as Conservatives have a special duty to carry on.
Wait a second. Time out. This is supposed to be Canada First for Flag Day, for Canada, for Canadians. And what did this little puke just say? Pay attention, folks. He's never a Canadian first. Never. Pay attention. I'm going to replay it.
Here today. And we as Conservatives.
He is a Conservative first. He is never a Canadian first. This is supposed to be a nonpartisan Flag Day Canada rally. And he turned it into a campaign speech. What a vile piece of fucking human excrement this man is.
Have a special duty to carry on that legacy. Conservatives, as the party of Confederation and John A. Macdonald, will restore the promise of Canada.
Okay. There's a lot of toxicity with that one, and we'll address that in a moment. I just needed to pause it for a second there. We'll address why that's really poisonous in a moment or two. We'll continue for a couple more minutes, sir?
Yeah. To about 35:20.
To about when?
35:20.
Okay.
Our founding leader united our country from the Atlantic to the Pacific and warded off American designs to dominate our continent. In the words of our great first Prime Minister, Conservatives will fight, and I quote, to give us a great, a united, a rich, an improving, a developing Canada, instead of making us a tributary to American laws, American railways, American bondage, and American tolls. That is the rich Conservative legacy to Canada, deliberately resisting American annexation for hundreds of years. Now more than ever, We owe this country, we love this country, and we will fight every day and every way to pass down to our kids the blessings we inherited from those who came before us.
You couldn't memorize this? You had to teleprompt it?
Now,
So sincere.
gentle correction here. That is the progressive conservative legacy.
Correct. Correct.
That is not the conservative.
Nope,
Yes,
it's not.
You are an entirely different beast.
We'll continue.
But he
Thank
has
you,
a
Lord.
no. So he has a John A. Macdonald clear fixation, Mr. Anglo-Saxon here.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So, and it's not the first, it's not the only time he mentions John A. In this speech. I believe, I think Anina mentioned him as well at some point. And I'm thinking like, I'm not sure John A. would have been too keen on Venezuelans
No, definitely
coming
not.
to Canada.
Not
Just,
exactly.
I mean, if you want to restore his legacy, I'm just saying. So then,
Sergio A. was
after
not
this,
big on immigration.
yeah. So after this, he goes into the speech that we presented, where he talked about his 6-point plan to fight the tariffs. He delivers the synthesized version of that speech. He just inserts it right in there. Then we go to 39:20, and Pierre finally makes a good point.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, let's give it a go.
For
Remind our
24
American
seconds.
friends that a trade war will we must remind our American friends that a trade war will simply reduce the funds both our countries have for our shared North American defense. It will make us less safe. As Winston Churchill said, though, you can always count on the Americans to do the right thing after exhausting all other possibilities.
Okay. Stop it there. He actually makes a good point. For once, he makes a point that actually contributes to the debate that I haven't heard anybody else make.
Broken clock,
mean,
twice a day.
A little bit, like, we did talk about it. If you put 25% on steel, and aluminum, I mean, just upended, increase the cost of your military. But he's the first politician really to make it in that sense, that clearly, because this is the first thing he's actually contributed that actually has some worth to the debate. Now, he's going to continue here, and I'm going to play this till 43:39, Mr. Grizzly, because for some reason this is supposed to be a rally for Canadians to celebrate the flag, and he does this.
So let me spell out the possibilities for our American friends and speak directly to them. Option 1. You can carry out an unprovoked attack on our economy. Your consumers will pay more and your workers will make less. Gas prices will skyrocket. You will turn a loyal friend into a resentful neighbor forced to match tariff with tariff. And
all legitimate.
And everybody's said this before.
We've all heard this. Look, I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. He's correct. He's
Yes.
correct. You know how much I hate this man. I physically hate this man.
Oh, wait for it.
But I will give credit where credit is due. Now, I'm sure in a few seconds I'll want to reach through the screen and punch him in the face.
Yep.
Which we don't do, but we can have those emotions.
And to seek friends everywhere else. Both our economies will weaken, leaving less money for defense and security, and our enemies will grow stronger.
Yeah.
Option 1. Option 2. We trade even more. And both our workers make more. Our consumers pay less. The resulting GDP boost allows Canada to further strengthen its border and up our military spending to 2% of GDP faster.
Coming from the party who cut our military spending in NATO to the lowest point it has ever been in history.
Below 1%.
Below 1%. Stephen Harper, of which he was a cabinet member of Stephen Harper's cabinet.
to try to manufacture balanced budgets that they never managed to do.
We're going to prop up the military. You cut the spending on the military to less than 1% of GDP when it came to NATO.
And then they attacked veterans and they cut border guards.
And they fired several thousand CBSA agents,
Yep.
and they closed Veterans Affairs offices all over the country.
Yep.
But they care about the veterans.
Yep.
They care about the veterans when they can use them as a prop.
Yep. Just like the flag.
Continue. We'll continue.
We stop fentanyl, terrorists, supersonic missiles, and other threats. We team up against the unfair trading practices of other countries. Both America and Canada separately, will end up safer, stronger, and richer as a result. Oh, and there's something else. There's something else I'd like to say to our American friends. We've always loved you as our neighbors and friends. There is no country with whom we'd rather share a border. The longest undefended border in the world. We know America is the biggest
Wait a second. He said, let's put up guard towers, and he just said that a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
We're going to put towers up and guards with automatic weapons, and now he's going on about the longest undefended border, but the one he wants to militarize.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that sound? That was a truckload of flip-flops being dumped on Stornoway's front lawn. Oh my God, this fucking guy.
Economic and military superpower the world has ever known. And we've been a good neighbor. We fought on the same side of the same wars. We paid with Canadian lives and treasure to fight for America, avenging the 9/11 attacks. You have your grievance with us. We have ours with you. But I would ask you this question. Which other country would you rather have as your neighbor? And if Canada is not your friend, who is? See?
Okay.
Let's reiterate this one more time. Just 1 second. Let's reiterate this one more time. Countries don't have friends. Countries have trading partners.
Right.
We're not friends. We're trading partners. Sir.
Okay. Now, God, this guy.
Yeah, I know.
He's giving option 1 and option 2. Right? Option 1, absolutely, that can happen. Option 2 does not exist.
No.
Option 2 does not exist. Option 2, for that to work, for that to be feasible, you actually have to have a reliable partner with whom to execute option 2. We do not have that.
No.
The number you have reached is not in service, Mr. Poilièvre. Option 2 is not a thing. Option 2 is something that's available with the government that deals in common sense and rationality and logic and facts. You were not in this realm. There is no option 2 in the way that you describe it. Now, there are many more options because, Pierre is a pretty limited person and, only wants you to believe that there are 2 options. So therefore, you pick the one that he wants because it makes the other one completely unpalatable. But there are way more than 2 options. Number 1, we're human beings. We're creative. We're imaginative. There are infinite combination of options.
Nuance.
But yes, but here, option 2 does not exist. And option 2 is preaching deeper economic integration with the nation that has declared itself to be hostile towards us. It's the same damn bullshit that Doug Ford's doing with his AmCam thing. It's like, we want to annex you. Hey, Canada, let's snuggle into our wannabe annexers' arms just a little closer and tighter by linking our critical minerals and our energy, as well as everything else as well as the auto pack that we got now. Let's have an auto pack style thing with our energy and critical minerals. He's coming for your auto industry, Doug. I heard this other company is like, we're thinking of maybe redomiciling in the United States. Yes, redomicile in the United States. That'll work for you for about 5 or 6 years. And then when Donald Trump decides that your company now belongs to the state, like happened in Russia, they brought in the capitalism for a while, and then there was a change of government, and they decided, yeah, this company's working well. That's ours now. And everybody lost their investment. Move everything to the US right now, so that you could be in the best market. And once you've moved everything over there, you don't think that'll happen? Look who he's modeling himself off. The guy who did that. Like, this is dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's just dumb. And option 2 does not exist. Option 2 does not exist. The people we are talking to are not interested in option 2. Stop presenting it to Canadians like it's a possibility. It's not. You are wasting our time.
Yes.
And someone got a call from Harper, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can tell. Because all
There's
of a sudden,
some wording in there.
All of a sudden he's Captain Canada. And we all know that.
Well, Harper with this thing like this, I would accept any amount of pain into like this. Well, Pierre wasn't saying that. All of a sudden, whoa, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Someone got a phone call.
Guaranteed.
Now, Pierre's in a really interesting situation, right? Because so much of his base really loves Trump.
Well, and I just saw I think it was from Angus Reid, or was it Frank Graves? I can't remember. Somebody polled recently and they polled different supporters of different parties.
Right.
What do you think about Trump and do you support him? And 93% of the Liberal Party said absolutely freaking not.
Yes.
I think 98% of the NDP said hell no. 96% of the bloc said, oh, God, no. 44% of the Conservatives said, yeah, I like what he's doing. And something like 64% of the PPC supporters love what Trump's doing. So here's what I say to the Conservatives who support Trump and the PPC voters who support Trump. Get on the next bus or boat or train or plane and go there and never come back. I will help you pack. Hell, I'll rent a car to drive you across the border. You are not welcome here anymore. Do you know why? Because you clearly do not love this country or any of her citizens. If you support Donald Trump, go and fuck yourself. And I mean that. I say that to people all the time, and people get bent out of shape. That's not very nice. I don't care. I'm not going to be nice when it comes to that monster of a human being. He is enacting Project 2025. They think The Handmaid's Tale is a guidebook. They are literally destroying democracy in front of our eyes, and nobody's doing a thing to stop it.
Yep. See this, what is it? Oh, these are net favorables for Donald Trump. Yeah. So, wow. Yeah, net favorable. Okay. Net favorables for Donald Trump. This is Palace data. Liberals, minus 94%.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, minus 94%. NDP, minus 92%. Green, minus 70%. Surprising. Conservatives, minus 1%.
So they actually support him.
Just a small sliver doesn't support them more. That's the second one. The other one I heard the gap was the other one I saw the gap was minus 3, which is the same one to which you were referring there. So yeah, Bernier is just like,
yeah,
bring it in. Come on. He's just waiting. He's just waiting for Pierre to say the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people are probably going to leave already just
No
for
doubt.
that. Because, but he's going to have to come out way more full-throated than that before this is over. Because before we actually have an election, he's going to have to come out way more full-throated than that. He's going to have to do it more than once. Right? So, okay. Then he launches in to at 47:25, Mr. Grizzly, a blistering attack on the Liberals. You know what? Actually, we won't play that part. We'll just skip over that. But it's like all the recycled lies about housing. They doubled the housing, they whatnot. You know, like this, pretending that there's a business case for the pipeline projects that he's mentioned all the time. All his usual stump speech stuff. He just like crams it in there, like for like just 2 minutes and 10, just machine guns it. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, are you sensing a pivot yet? Because I thought this was supposed to be a rebranding. But it's all the things that you've said before. What does that have to do with the 60th anniversary of the flag? You know, the whole reason everybody was brought here?
I gotta blow this up for a second here and show you, if you see some of the comments here. My mom says $15 is too much to spend on carbon tax. Pierre is great, but sadly not enough. Pierre is live now on his feed. PP for PM. Oh, Canada. 51st state is the only way to secure North America, allowing us all to get away from Marxism. What the hell does that mean? Put down the water pipe and stop drinking the bong water. It's messing with your brain. Like, I just don't know what to say sometimes. Oh, where shall I advance to, sir?
Sorry, I sneezed. I had to take down the volume.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were doing there.
And I had to blow my nose. I wanted to do it. All right. Let's go to. So yeah, he just does that. 49:36. Here's a moment of every accusation is a confession.
Okay, let's. 49:32 is where.
All right, that's good enough.
Or a single tariff was applied. Now, Liberals would like to instrumentalize the tariff threat to distract from the record of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals over the last 9 years. They say that we should just forget about all the damage.
Carney-Trudeau Liberals for the last 9 years.
Okay, but what was the accusation? What was the accusation?
I don't know. Let's go back. Let's go back again. It's like that line just pisses me off because I'm like, Mark Carney is not yet in government.
He can't pivot, and he's too wedded to his original material. This is not a pivot. This is a repurposing and a reframing.
That's all it is. It was the NDP Liberals, and now it's the Carney-Trudeau Liberals. Mark Carney, who's been in government for exactly no time whatsoever.
Yep.
Never. He's never been in government. He's been a banker. And by the way, for those of you who might not be aware, because I'm going to tell you something, little truth bomb here. Maybe you don't know this. The Bank of Canada is not a crown corporation. It is not part of the government. It is an independent business. You don't know that because you would think the Bank of Canada has to do with some sort of government tie. I thought that too, until I worked there and found out that no, the Bank of Canada is a bank, period. It's private sector. Yes, it helps the country. It works hand in hand with government, but it's not a government entity. It's not a crown corporation. It is a private company.
I did not know
of
that.
Which Mark Carney worked for. You can get appointed to the governor of the Bank of Canada by a politician, but it is not a government entity. It is a private corporation. Always has been. It's the Bank of Canada, period. Most people don't know that. I think I just dropped a truth bomb on you there, sir. You didn't even know about it, did you?
Yeah, I'm looking about it. They say it is a crown corporation, but a special type because it is structured like a private or independent company.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pseudo crown corp.
Yeah, because it would have to be Because it would have to be for the government to be appointing the governor.
But it's not really a crown corp. It's a pseudo crown corp.
Yeah, it's very special. Yeah,
it's very unique. It's very, very unique, and most Canadians do not know this. They don't.
Wow, that's a good tidbit. Wow,
there you go.
Thanks for bringing that.
You're welcome. Again, I worked there, so.
Pays to create American jobs. All of this before a single tariff was applied.
Okay, here's the accusation.
Now, Liberals would like to instrumentalize the tariff threat to distract from the record of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals over the last 9 years. They say that we should just forget about all the damage they've...
Right now, you are using the tariff threat to deflect from the fact that you can't pivot. Just pointing that out. Okay.
Something here from PNC Bio. It says, I can't listen to more of this. You really need to look at the statues around the back. The Bank of Canada, a lot of that wasn't correct. I profess to not being an expert on the Bank of Canada. Just to let you know, I did work there. I did learn a lot of things while I was working there. I'm not an expert. I don't profess to be. And I'm going to get things wrong. And I apologize when I get things wrong. We'll continue. Just wanted to address that. That's all.
Okay.
We've done to our country because of the tariffs that might be coming down the road. In fact, the opposite is true. Think of it, my friends. If Carney-Trudeau policies did this much economic harm before tariffs, imagine the devastation they would cause after tariffs.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Carney-Trudeau policies. That's not a thing.
Nope.
He's inventing stuff.
Yep.
Right in front of us.
Yep.
Again, Mark Carney is not, nor has he ever been, in government. This guy's saying for 9 years. He's trying to gaslight Canadians in real time right in front of our very own eyes. It's a good thing I wasn't there. Honestly, if
where are we in the time?
50 minutes and 5 seconds.
Sorry.
If I had been corralled in that media scrum, I would have been screaming at the top of my lungs. That's a fucking lie, and you know it. I would have been screaming at the top of my lungs. Mark Carney is not in the government. Never has been. He can't make policy. He's not a part of the government. He's running to be Liberal leader, and if he gets elected, then he'll be in government. And this guy's carrying on like he's already the Liberal leader, but he's not. And there's no guarantee that he gets elected.
Right. Okay. So to 50-33.
We need a prime minister who will put Canada first. Our workers, our businesses, our economy, our borders, our military.
Once again with the military line.
We must, well, I need you too. Are you with me? Thank you.
Okay, stop there. I would avoid any reference to "Are you with me?" because if you remember correctly, PP, that was Aaron O'Toole's line, and do you remember what you did to him?
Yeah. Are you with me?
Okay. Keep going to 54-25. And here, sorry, 50-34 to, so keep going to 51-32. Here's where he confirms again that there will be no pivot.
I thought so. And we must be able to stand on our own 2 feet, no longer helplessly dependent on the Americans. You know, the media is now saying that I should change my entire platform because of the tariff threat. In fact, the Trump tariff threats have proven conservatives right on everything. It's true.
I'm sorry, what?
Let it keep going.
Everyone now admits, or they claim to admit, that conservatives were right on the Liberal capital gains tax hike, that conservatives were right on the carbon tax, on pipelines, on LNG, on fentanyl, the borders, immigration, and the need to celebrate rather than cancel our proud history and country.
What in the fuck is he going on about?
The last thing on the list is completely irrelevant to the situation. Okay, just completely irrelevant. The capital gains tax. I remember him hiding from the media to not take a position on what the Conservatives was going to be on the capital gains tax, because again, he was trying to serve two masters and didn't want to piss either of them off. Fentanyl, you've been exploiting people's tragedy. You've been doing tragedy porn with it, but you're not. Your solution was to like just strip away their rights and force them into treatment against their will. That's not a solution. You didn't propose really anything else until very recently, when you talked about people having 20 milligrams of fentanyl as being kingpins, and your solution is to again strip away their constitutional rights, just lock them up and throw away the key, which we do not do here.
Well, I had a back and forth with somebody about that recently, and they said something to the effect of, Mark Carney said something in a video, and my response was, oh yes, Sheila Gunn-Reid. She's a Russian-paid propagandist, courtesy of Rebel Media.
Yes.
And the blowback I got from that, why didn't you watch the video? You denied what he said. I never said anything about what Mark Carney said in the video. I made a comment about the reporter, and they just tried to pillory him. And I'm like, stop trying to change the subject here. I made a comment about her. You're trying to turn it into something it isn't. And then they said, well, would you defend Pierre Poilièvre if he said the same thing? I go, if Pierre Poilièvre came out and said he would protect Canada and use emergency powers to do it, yeah, I would. But he didn't do that. He said he would rip people's rights away. He would destroy constitutional rights of people. He would use the notwithstanding clause. That's what Pierre Poilièvre said. And I cannot ever support that.
Nope. You can't. This thing is annoying. All right. No, you can't support that. You just can't support that. All right. So let's go here to, oh yes, 50. So no pivot, right?
Mm-hmm.
No pivot. We were right. It's like we were talking about fentanyl. Somebody else is talking about fentanyl. We were both talking about fentanyl. Therefore, we were right. Doesn't matter what we were talking about fentanyl or what our solutions were, whatnot. But we were both talking about. I drew your attention to fentanyl. Now Trump's talking about fentanyl. I was right. No, everybody was talking about fentanyl. In that sense, you. It's not like you discovered it. Or you were the first to bring it up, or right. That's why we have the safe. We had the safe consumption sites, because we've been talking about this stuff for a long time.
I think the fentanyls should be Ricky, Bubbles, and Julian.
So, all right, now let's go to 5327 and let it play to 5425 and watch him murder irony twice.
Okay.
In a minute and 18 seconds.
You know, it's funny. First, the Liberals said, Poilièvre has no policies. And then they said, okay, he does, but they're really scary. And now they say, they agree with all my policies.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Let it play to 5435.
You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery, but you cannot believe them. My friends, it is not realistic that we would believe a party 60 days before election suddenly reversing itself on absolutely everything. If you want conservative policies, you will have to vote conservative.
I'm sorry. Let's just back that up.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
That's already being killed 2 times right there
in
that
less
sentence.
than a minute. Okay, we'll start. I got to back that up because they're like, what?
Leave a party 60 days before election suddenly reversing itself on absolutely everything. If you want conservative policies, you will have to vote conservative.
That's your policies are not conservative.
I just want to.
The implication there is that the Liberals are going to try to bring in conservative policies. So if you want some real conservative policies, you got to vote him. Except you don't actually have any authentically real conservative policies. The carbon tax was an authentically conservative policy, and you murdered it.
It was a Stephen Harper policy, the carbon tax, with no rebate for Canadians. By the fucking way. And if you I'm just gonna we only see a few people in the audience there. I'm gonna give it a larger screen here, but I only see a few people in the audience, and I can't quite put my finger on the Caucasianal application. I mean occasional. I mean, it's just a bunch of white people,
and a lot of them look like young staffers.
You think? I see one gray hair.
Blazer baseball cap with the tie.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the bigger screen. One gray hair right over here in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
One gray hair right there. And I.
Yep.
Everybody else, you're right. They look like staffers.
It's not Saturday afternoon. I'm casually walking. I've come to a rally. Garb here.
Dude's in a full suit and tie.
Yes.
That's usually how I dress when I go to a rally or a protest or a celebration of the flag and 60 years of the flag. Yeah, that's how. Which cufflink should I select for today's flag rally?
Yes. All right. Let's go to 5425, Mr. Grizzly, for 10 seconds. And this is supposed to be a rally for the flag, right?
This from PNC Bio. The words Canada First Rally Tender scare off every non-white person in the area. You are correct.
Yeah.
Take the carbon tax. Take the carbon tax. Yeah. And you know what to do with it.
Okay.
Before.
Okay. Yeah. Feeling proud yet about the flag? 5712 to 5803. Another instance of every accusation is a confession.
Now, I know Mr. Carney is going to try to plagiarize my policies right before the election. Policies he has long opposed. But don't believe a word.
I'm sorry, what? He's going to plagiarize my policies that he's long opposed.
The guy who's been copying off everybody else's text, his economic policy is Liz Truss's. His social policy,
excuse me,
is Preston Manning.
I have to go drown myself in the bathtub. What in the Christ?
And everything about his presentation and his aura is Trump. Canada first, Canada last, Canada always is Laurier. He has a whole section of his speech that's lifted from John Kennedy.
Yes.
Sir John Kennedy. Even Bring It Home was Trump's first.
There's nothing original. This man does not have an original thought. Look.
But he's accusing somebody else of wanting to plagiarize his ideas.
Irony is dead. This man has not an original thought in his head. He has been a Reform Party stalwart since he was a boy in high school. And I know this because I have friends who went to high school with him. He's the same smug, smarmy asshole he's always been. Usually when your frontal lobes, your prefrontal cortex, your frontal lobes form by the time you're 25. Usually people start to look back at the things they did when they were a teenage boy or a teenage girl or a teenager and go, oh man, I really had that shit screwed up. This guy's never done that. He's never had a moment of self-reflection because he's the same guy today he was 35 years ago. He has not grown a millimeter. You're muted, sir. You know you're muted? Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did. Yes. When conservatives say they don't believe in evolution, they commit.
I think I broke I had to mute myself there because I was coughing. That was a good one.
All right. 5712.
Okay, I'll just take it back here. 5712. Eh? Okay. Here we go.
So, yes, every accusation is a confession. Oh, yeah, I did that already, right? We'll keep going to
Now, I know
5803.
Mr. Carney is going to try to plagiarize my policies right before the election. Policies he has long opposed. But don't believe a word.
I'm sorry, that is the stupidest fucking thing I've heard in a long time. He's going to plagiarize the policies. He's going to plagiarize all my policies, the policies that he's always opposed. What?
The policies that are not there.
First off, he has no policies. First off, number one. Number two, he has no platform. Number three, why would a person who, again, is not an elected figure, he is not the Liberal leader, he is not the Prime Minister. He's running for that position to be the Liberal leader, but he's not. And this guy's saying he's going to steal all my policies that he's opposed. This is the stupidest fucking speech I've ever heard in my life.
Yep.
Let's continue. Sorry, I'm just
5803.
exasperated.
Just a few months ago, did you
know.
hear about this? Mr. Carney moved his company headquarters to New York, Donald Trump's hometown, shifting jobs and investment into the U.S., just like Trump wanted. He opposed pipelines in Canada while his company bought them in the Middle East. He supported Trudeau's carbon tax in Canada while he profited off of investing in coal in the United States of America. He put his profit before our people. Carney cashed in, Canadians lost out. If he wins, Canada loses.
Okay, let's stop that.
But Canadians will.
Okay, so Carney is actually the Trump.
Yeah.
And irony died. About that, by the way, according to the liberal rag, the Financial
Yes,
Post,
that
published
dreaded
February
liberal rag.
14th, 2025. Yes. Brookfield Asset Management Limited's decision to shift its head office to New York from Toronto is featured in a new attack ad against Mark Carney, who's running to become Canadian Prime Minister. Carney is one of the leading candidates to replace Justin Trudeau as Liberal Party leader and assume Canada's highest political office. He had been Brookfield's chair and head of transition investing until January, when he resigned to launch his campaign. In a video he released Friday, the Conservative Party took aim at Carney's views on the economy and at Brookfield's relocation. Quote, Trudeau and Carney sold out Canada with job-killing taxes that pushed jobs south, the narrator of the video says. Carney even moved his company headquarters to New York. Brookfield Asset Management announced in October that it had moved its head office to New York as part of a strategy to gain inclusion in more U.S. stock indexes and attract more investors. Its parent, Brookfield Corp., still has its headquarters in Toronto.
Well, isn't that special? So this man is incapable of the truth.
And this move had been made in October. I'm pretty sure Carney was not involved in the decision, given that he was, doing the will he, won't he on them. So, in interview, he says he was not involved in that decision. Brookfield Asset Management moved its head office to New York to be able to participate. It was conditioned to be included in U.S. stock indices, but the parent company, which is the one that matters, is still headquartered in Toronto. So, big ol' lie. Big ol' fat lie. A spokesperson for Carney said, Pierre Poilièvre continues to pull from Donald Trump's playbook with empty and misleading slogans sent by email. While Pierre continues to think about Mark will continue to focus on his real plan to build our economy and stand up for Canadian workers against President Trump's threat. For clarity, that was Emily Williams who said that by email. The said by email was not part of the quote. Carney quit numerous corporate and nonprofit roles, including a position as chair of Bloomberg Incorporated when he entered politics. So he says that he quit about 20 positions, most of them not-for-profit work type boards. So Pierre wants you to believe that Carney is the sellout who's just like Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes into some economics, rah that other people have already said before, like Canada will be masters of our own destiny. Therefore, in this case, plagiarizing Mark Carney, who came out a couple of weeks ago using Maître chez nous already in his port announcement in Montreal. It goes, actually, the carbon tax is only the beginning. We will go ahead with the biggest, most patriotic tax cut in Canada's history, the Bring It Home tax cut. Tax cuts are patriotic now. Okay. See, it's literally all his own policies, everything he's been saying for the last little while, just rebranded. Now it's not just a tax cut; it's a patriotic tax cut.
Yeah, that's normally
that's the pivot. That's the pivot. Everything you're accusing me of, I accuse Carney of it.
The man who, again, is not a politician, has not won the leadership race, is not the prime minister. Mark Carney, as it stands at this exact moment in time, is a private citizen. He's running for political office, but he's a private citizen. He's not a politician. But this little shit given wants to paint him as the guy who has been in power for 9 years with the current Prime Minister of Canada.
Yep. So he goes into more stuff, comes out in support of an east-west pipeline, like everybody's shocked or surprised by that. Claims 74% of Quebecers want it. I would like a fact check on that. He promises to bring provinces and territories together to remove trade barriers within 30 days of becoming prime minister. By the time you would be elected, Millhouse, that would already have been done because they're doing that now. So I'm not sure why you're announcing you would do that. People are already on it. Now, two more moments of this is supposed to be a non-positive event at which everyone's welcome.
How much you want to bet? There's no way they would have allowed me to set foot in that door. I had other plans. I went to see the Tina Turner musical, with my lovely wife, and we had a wonderful time. And thank you to the Ray Girl for the free tickets. That show was incredible. I loved it.
Yes,
I had better things to do. That's what I'm getting at.
So two more short moments of
Okay, here we go.
At a National Pride rally, 102.50.
Well, we have to take breaks every now and then because I don't want to retch in front of people.
Well, this is why I'm taking like small little segments rather than like huge passages now, because you've all heard the stuff before anyway.
Well, and I'm sure there's somebody somewhere going to watch this later and accuse me of being a liberal cuck. And go ahead and accuse me. I don't give a shit what you think about me. I didn't vote for Justin Trudeau. I've never voted for Justin Trudeau. I didn't vote for Jagmeet Singh either.
Yep.
Okay.
102.50 to 103.17, 27 seconds of
Okay, here we go.
This all raises the question. I have a serious question for you. Think about this. Do you think that we could build the Canadian Pacific?
This guy has a question. I thought he had all the answers.
Mr. Grizzly, it's 27 seconds.
I know. I'll start it over. Sorry. I'll let it play. I promise.
This all raises the question. I have a serious question for you. Think about this. Do you think that we could build the Canadian Pacific Railway today? No. Or would there be some squeaky, radical protester chaining himself to a tree like Minister Guilbeault?
Okay.
Again, the keep it in the ground crowd in the Liberal Party.
Okay. A rally for national pride to celebrate the flag at which everyone's welcome, right?
Well, that's what it's billed as, but it clearly is not.
113.15 to 113.36. Another 21 minutes of 21 seconds.
Which
113.15.
Okay, just a second. Okay, there we go. I got it queued up.
Another 21 seconds of what?
Here we go.
Kingpins out on easy bail and house arrest. They've legalized fentanyl possession and given out tax-funded opioids that ultimately get resold to children.
Keep going. Let the 21 go.
They ban you from using a plastic straw but allow you to use cocaine. So next time you're snorting up, just make sure you use a paper straw to save the world.
Now, do you see why I wanted the full 21 seconds to go?
What the?
A national rally to celebrate the flag.
And he's talking about what kind of straw you should use to snort cocaine.
Immediately after saying they're giving drugs that get sold back to children. Then he jokes about. No wonder that video had that scene about celebrating somebody that came home from recovery with everybody drinking wine.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was that a tell? I mean, that's a really strange thing for a politician to say. That it's a very bizarre thing for any politician of any stripe to say. I just, he's gone right off, pardon me, the rails.
Yep.
There's a double entendre there.
Oh, yes.
People who like to snort cocaine say, do a couple of rails.
Do a couple of rails.
He's gone off the rails.
1:14:32 to 1:15:33. It's 1 minute and 1 second of where have we heard this before?
Okay.
40 milligrams is enough to kill 20 people. We will lock up and throw away the murderers who are killing our families. More important than what I will do is why I will do it. You know, it shouldn't have taken President Trump to get the liberals to wake up that there's a fentanyl crisis in this country. I'm not doing this for him. I'm not doing this for him. I'm doing this so that there's not one more Canadian parent that has to collapse on the ground on learning that their child has died in a back alley somewhere. We must.
We've heard that before, pretty much word for word, in a couple, and it's something a couple days ago.
A woman, one more mother on the ground with her hands in her face, crying about the loss of her child.
Yes, because her child is in the alleyway that you condemned him to because you closed all safe injection sites
and safe supply. And yeah. You sent that child there. You fucking hypocrite.
So, the party that the party that complains about the current prime minister being a drama teacher has a leader that's a big drama queen. He definitely knows how to act.
Well, RMR's comment, anyone who casually throws cocaine into a conversation is a user. We're not making that accusation on this show. The two of us are not making that accusation. But I am saying it's very, very, very bizarre and strange thing for any politician to say.
Yep.
It's bizarre.
Yep. So
when you snort your cocaine, use a plastic straw, not a paper one. What?
Yep.
What in the hell did I just hear?
I know.
How does he feel? Here's a curious question. He wants to go back to plastic straws because, paper straws they don't like. And how does he feel about our polymer notes, our banknotes, our money, which is printed on plastic? How does he feel about that?
Do not know.
Does he want to go back to paper?
I have to say. He cares too much about too many damn fucking things. So he needs to mind his business a whole lot more.
So,
all right.
I'm going to very quickly address this comment from Jay. Pierre, let's talk about the CPC staffer that died in a hotel room. Okay. I don't know if people are aware of this story. We're not going to do a deep dive on it now, but we will in the future because there is a story coming out next week, which I cannot tell you a damn thing about right now. But there is a story coming out next week about that incident and about the entity that made it go away. It's going to be a very big story. Somebody's done a very deep dive on this. That is all I can tell you. But I will tell you this. When it hits the news, I will be paying attention and we will be discussing it.
All right.
And it's a very big story. Bigger than you can possibly imagine, and it will shock the hell out of you because it shocked the hell out of me when I heard. And I saw literally the tip of the iceberg, and I went, "Holy shit!" That's all I can tell you for now. When the story comes out, we'll address it directly.
All right.
Shall we continue, sir? Or do you want
yes.
me to... Yeah. Keep rolling.
120-32. John A. comes back.
Oh.
Makes another appearance.
Okay. There we go. Right on the button. 120-32.
We will celebrate rather than tearing down our heroes in history. We will defeat this insidious and divisive cancel culture that sought to destroy our national pride and monuments. They've even tried to destroy the great founder of this country, John A. Macdonald. Well, I've got a message for them.
Oh, wait.
If there were no...
You got to let it run through, my friend.
Sorry,
you got to let it run through if you want to get the full impact.
Exasperation. The founder of this country? Oh, settle the fuck down.
John A. Macdonald, there would be no Canada. Under a conservative government, I promise you we will build new statues and name new public structures after the great founding Prime Minister of our country. His name will go on public structures and other places of national importance. I will also defend and preserve our proud military.
No, you won't.
So this is the Canadian version of yes. We know it was called Fort Bragg, and we've decided to rename it because we know it bothers people. And hey, you know what? Donald Trump doing this one. Yeah, we're going to call it Fort Bragg again. It's not going to be the same Bragg.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to actually be a Bragg who's decent, I guess. But we're going to call it Fort Bragg again. We're just going to rename it after him, just for right. Oh yeah, that Robert E. Lee statue that we took down. Yeah, we need to make a new one and put it right back up. That's what that's the thing that this country needs right now. It's the Canadian equivalent. Canadian equivalent. He's obsessed with John A. Okay, the comment that the person made, you only make that joke if you're a user?
Mm-hmm.
124.28.
Okay.
This one's in French. For 15 seconds.
Et dans la nuit, dans les soirées, on est allé au pub pour célébrer avec les autres jeunes du Québec. Et je sais que les Québécois aiment dire je me souviens, mais il y a certaines soirées que je me souviens pas.
So basically talking about back when he was younger, he was hanging around in Quebec. And, certain nights we went to hang out in the pub and hang out with some young guys. And, I know that in Quebec they say je me souviens, but there are certain nights I don't remember. Again.
A very strange thing for a politician to say.
At a rally for the flag.
But let me say that I'm
127.04 is the last one I want to play. Where once again, there's several ways that he has proposed that we just completely remove the Canadian identity. Now, when he finishes this speech, he finishes with a big finish like this, and he's got to put Terry Fox and Vimy and all those things back on the passport and all that kind of stuff, right? Because we really, really believe in Canada. But he's also proposed militarizing the border, gunning foreign aid, and locking people up and throwing away the key, which are three things that about the Canadian identity that we just do not do. Well, here's the fourth one that he's proposing.
Okay.
Laws will be enforced. People who engage in this activity will be locked up and they will pay a serious price. Those who are visiting the country on a visa and are not citizens or permanent residents that engage in hateful violence will be deported from the country. And we will treat all our people, regardless of their race, as Canadian and Canadian first with no hyphens.
Whoa.
We are now the melting pot under Pierre, no longer the cultural mosaic. And Anna said the same thing in her opening things.
He wants us to be the United States of America. He wants us to be the 51st state.
He has literally proposed melting pot.
Yeah. We are not a melting pot. Canada has never been a melting pot. Canada will never be a melting pot. You are welcome to come here, retain your culture, retain your identity, and be Canadian. And here's the best part of that. Here's the best, absolute best part of that. Man, do we have some great cultural celebrations across this country. And I see them here in this city all the time, and I go to them. And here's the best part. The food is amazing.
The food, the music, the people, the fun, the atmosphere.
All of it. I get to experience somebody else's culture, and my goodness, it's
and you don't have to buy a $3,000 plane ticket to do it.
No, I just literally walk down the street to City Hall, where there's a cultural event going on damn near every weekend in the summer in Ottawa.
The whole world is at our fingertips in this country.
City. Yeah, we have it all.
So, and then there's more stuff. He has this big finish, rah, 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 which the big finish actually, turns out that this whole thing was essentially a compliment sandwich.
Was he breaking time to pat himself on the back?
He had that little thing at the beginning that was national pride.
Mm-hmm.
We had that lady, and he ended with like some rah rah, and if you watch just the last like 3 or 4 minutes of it, it's like, wow, he's really rallying. Yeah, but you had to see how he got there. So he's got that nice national pride thing at the end, but in the middle of it, in between those 2 slices of bread and that national pride sandwich, he hates us.
Oh yeah,
he hates this country and he hates us. So
and he's been telling us for the last 2 years how broken we are.
So he's not going to pivot.
No.
He sort of integrates tariffs in terms like Canada first. And again, everybody, I will say it till the day I die. When he says Canada first, Canada last, Canada always, he is quoting Laurier. When he says Canada first, he is quoting the KKK.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's exactly what that was. The KKK started saying America first.
If you only use 1/3 of the quote, it's not Laurier's quote.
That's right.
Okay? Let's be clear. Some major dog whistling. Now, Pierre even having like a red and white banner in front of him. I mean, gee, he must have swallowed hard for that, to not have any blue on that stage.
Yeah.
So, we have Pierre's rally, right? Supposed to be a rebrand, supposed to be a pivot. Let's say it wasn't a flop, that he did get the people. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah.
Let's say, like this, he had some good moments.
Mm-hmm.
Because he talked for over an hour, just like Trump. This is the type of thing, 15 minutes and out. But I'll tell you what was going on here. Because this thing was not a rally. It was a goddamn infomercial.
That's exactly what it was.
And I will tell you how. He recruited all these people. Bust them in. Make sure you got a big crowd. Because Pierre, for a long time, has not had the backdrop of the House of Commons. First clips. So let's hold a big rally. Let's get a lot of people in there. Right? Now, normally, you would talk 10 or 15 minutes, rally the people up, keep that energy going, have several speakers come and talk for about a minute or 2 each, rally like this, come and you deliver like maybe a 10 or 15 minute speech, and then boom, it's out. Right? Rah, rah. Maybe have some artists come play some music between, local kids dance troupe. Get everybody to go, ah. But you organize your event. What's going on here is that the Conservatives do not believe that their original message is bad, and they are really wedded to it. I mean, we told you that before, right? In the previous stories, but Pierre's like, but I like this. I planned this. I want to run on this. I'm good at this. Okay, so they're not ditching it. They're trying to repurpose it. They're trying to make it fit the square peg fit into the round hole. Yes. So, and that's why a lot of it's clumsy, because the time has passed, and we're not having a carbon tax election, no matter how much you want it, and you saying that it's more important now than ever. No, because the affordability issue now is the tariffs. People are still worried about affordability, but the driver's the tariffs, right? And the guy that you're complaining about is not going to put on the carbon tax. Now they're trying to rebrand that as being the new carbon tax, which will even, it's like, that's not what's happening at all. And Mr. Carney can actually explain it in full sentences, and Pierre can't. So when they get side by side, that's not going to work out. That strategy is not going to work out for him side by side.
No, goodness, no.
So they believe that their message is good, but they're not getting enough airtime for it right now. Because, there's Trump and there's a liberal leadership, and, in Quebec, there's a Quebec liberal leadership, there's an Ontario election. There's lots of things competing for the space. And, he's just not relevant or rating anymore, because more important people are talking about more important things and are actually saying things of substance. So he keeps on getting pushed down. Right. So Pierre, again, as we mentioned, very cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
Organized this day because Flag Day couldn't be just about the flag like everything else. He needs to pull focus and make it about himself.
Yeah.
Right? Like apologies to the Indigenous community, for example. He needs to pull focus. Got to make the day about himself. First day of Hanukkah, has to make the day about himself. Was his vote.
This man has the most fragile ego after Donald Trump.
Yep. So, in true cinematic form, on a day on which Canadians were asked to wave the flag as a symbol of pride, he used it as a set prop.
Mm-hmm.
All the calls for people to come in and, bussing them in and all that kind of stuff wasn't to get Canadians of every stripe to come and celebrate the flag. He needed extras.
Yeah.
He needed extras. And when he wasn't getting them, then came the staffers. And since, over the past few weeks, he has not been getting the press he wanted for all the announcements he's been making, the reason this speech was so long is it became between certain moments, the transitions, he was literally just inserting the speeches that he's made over the last 2 weeks that nobody heard. So he told us what his 6-point plan was. He told us about, we need to work together more east-west and remove provincial trade barriers. Yeah, everybody's been talking about that. He redid his whole announcement about, putting a base up in Iqaluit. He did his whole, I don't want to see another mother.
Well, after Melanie Joly said they're going to increase military in the Arctic, and he said, well, who lives up there? Santa Claus? And then he comes up and says it, and he's heroic. You made fun of...
Yeah. So, but all the announcements that he's been making, the only one he didn't slip in there is not recognizing more than 2 genders. But all the other ones, he slipped them in. They had a block. He felt nobody heard him.
Mm-hmm.
So he created a situation with a captive audience so that you would have to listen to him.
Yeah.
And then he recorded it. Now he's got the big backdrop of him with him saying it rather than at a press conference. So now he's going to cut those for clips.
Well, and remember what he said about the media and how they had to be corralled into a certain specific area.
Well, there's a reason for that, right? They're getting away. The media gets in the way of the clips.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an infomercial shoot.
Oh, yeah.
With extras, bust in. And it was supposed to be this big rebranding. And in it, he says, it's like, media says I should rebrand. I'm not rebranding. I was right all along. Well, then. So it was supposed to be the rebranding, and it was supposed to be a rally for, and it was neither. As a citizen, had I gone there, saying, you know what, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll go to an event organized by the Conservative Party of Canada if it's to honor the flag. I would have felt that I had one hell of a bait and switch. Almost like, when you would get invited to a nice afternoon sort of social and whatnot, and, you arrive there and the people start talking, and all of a sudden it's a timeshare presentation.
Mm-hmm. I was like,
pyramid scheme thing.
What? I did not sign up for this.
You said it was a cocktail.
Well, there's cocktails, but we got to give you a presentation as well. It's a timeshare. You'll love it. No, I won't.
All I'm saying is that if I was a Canadian that was not necessarily a voter of the Conservative Party of Canada, hey, there's this big event going on for Flag Day, for the 60th anniversary in my hometown, I'm proud of my fraternity. I'm proud of my flag. I'm going. I would have been rather upset because that's not what that event. That was not a happy event.
That was not a happy event. That was not a celebration of the Canadian flag on Flag Day. Wasn't.
Nope.
It was an angry campaign stop for an election that's not been called. I mean, say whatever you want to me. Tell me I'm wrong about that.
This is no bueno.
You can't tell me I'm wrong because I'm right.
Right.
And trust me when I say this, I hate that I'm so damn right so damn often. I really wish I was wrong more often. I sincerely mean that. I hate being right damn near all the damn time because the stuff I'm right about are bad things. I would prefer to be wrong. I really, really would. It'd be great if I was wrong. Sadly, it's a rare thing for me. And I mean that sincerely. I sincerely mean that.
Well, you tended not to say anything unless you know it. So that always helps. Now, Mr. Grizzly, while Pierre did all of that, needed over in an hour and 30 with guest speakers, Mark Carney was over at the CBC on Rosemary Barton Live. And in about 16 minutes or so, completely destroyed Pierre's event.
Yeah, I have it here. Do you want me to put it up?
Yeah. Now, he didn't destroy the event itself. I should say, be more precise, the purpose and the impact of the event. This is a thing of beauty. Enjoy.
Mark Carney, nice to see you. Appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to start with the issue that is of most concern to Canadians right now, and that is, of course, the threat of tariffs by the president. You have said that you are leaving this to the real-time negotiations to the Prime Minister, but you could be faced with all of this in a matter of weeks. So what is your plan to take on the president's tariff threats specifically?
Well, so if I am selected as leader of the Liberal Party and therefore Prime Minister, I'll do a couple of things. One is I will pick up where we are at that point. There are negotiations ongoing. They go back and forth. As we all know, the president changes his mind or raises different issues day by day, and so the government has to deal with that. So I'll pick things up where they are. But one thing I want to emphasize, and what I can talk about and have been talking about, is one of the most important things we can do for Canada, but also for the negotiations, is to concentrate on what we can control. We can't control President Trump, but we can control what we do here at home to reinforce our economy. So that's middle-class tax cut, that's investing in infrastructure, it's building new trade routes, it's doing all these things. It's having one Canadian economy instead of 13. And what I'm being more and more clear about is exactly how I would do that if I am selected.
And I will ask you some of those questions, but I still think that it would be helpful for Canadians to know exactly what you would do when it comes to tariffs.
Well,
so why are you being so reticent to talk about that?
Because I'm a good negotiator. I have negotiated a number of situations in the past. I know how to manage crises. I know what you do in the order you can control things. It is not a good idea to insert yourself in the middle of a negotiation, give conflicting signals.
Other candidates are doing that.
It's not a good idea to do that, full stop.
Right.
And I'm in a position where I take my responsibilities or my potential responsibilities seriously. I'm in contact. I understand where the state of play is. And as much as possible, we need to move in with very, very deliberately. Another point I would make is I'm not looking to negotiate. If I am selected as leader and therefore Prime Minister, my interlocutor, the person I would negotiate with, is the president, not with others. And so again, it's important at that stage. And last point, if I may, it's not appropriate for me at this point to have direct contact, obviously, with President Trump.
You have proposed that big polluters pay consumers through a
I have to pause there for a sec because the adult really is in the room, right? I mean, Jay said that the adult has entered the chat, but it's like, my goodness, you're not going to get anything by Mark Carney. He's too smart. You're muted, sir. You're muted.
Oh,
there you go.
Sorry.
You're muted.
Yes. And I would say, and notice the difference in tone, right? Where Pierre's all breathless and strident and everybody has to panic. How calm and reasonable and rational and poised.
Well, and again, he's like, I'm not inserting myself into that conversation. I'm not the Liberal leader. I'm not the Prime Minister, so I'm not going to step in it. Like,
other people are doing it. It's wrong. Full stop. They should not be doing it.
Right? Hey, Doug Ford, that was a direct salvo across the bow, okay?
I did not stutter.
We'll continue. This is a thing of beauty.
Carbon credit market with the industrial pricing system. So you get rid of the carbon tax for consumers and you would put this in place instead. How would you ensure, though, that those costs aren't passed on to consumers?
So there's a couple of things. First, and just to be clear, in terms of removing the consumer carbon tax, that also means we're removing the carbon tax for small, medium-sized enterprises, for farms and others, basically everyone up to 50 kilotons of emissions. So it's the large polluters that pay. Now, those large polluters today, what they try to do is reduce their own emissions. If they don't get to certain levels, depending on the sector, they pay the producer carbon tax, the OPBS system as a whole, as you know. They have an option to buy carbon credits, which reduces the tax they pay. That market doesn't function very well. That carbon credit market doesn't function very well. So what we're actually doing here is improving the market, improving how it functions, adding additional credits, so additional options for those large polluters. They could buy these credits. This federal government will stand in between. And what's going to be new is a series of new incentives for households to reduce those emissions.
It still sounds to me, though, that there's an opportunity for companies to pass that on to consumers.
Well, just to be clear, them buying credits reduces their costs. It helps Canadians reduce their own emissions. Now, take a big step back and look at the overall producer carbon price. And let's take the example of the steel industry. So there's a carbon price on steel. To the extent to which that's paid, yes, that does show up in the cost, for example, of an automobile. Now, let's put this into proportions. If you look at a $25,000 or less car, the cost, if you replaced all the steel, and it became green steel, so no carbon steel, which is an extreme version of what we're talking about here, it's less than $200 additional price. So it's something, but it's not much. That's
okay, but you acknowledge that the consumer would pay more at some point.
Well, the consumer is already paying more, just to be...
Rosemary, really?
But you'll admit that it could be $1 more.
And he's like, yeah.
$200 more, $25,000.
She's really trying for the gotcha moment there, but no. And I think Frank makes a very strident point here. Rosemary isn't listening, nor cares, nor understands. I'm really. She's been disappointing me a lot lately, and I'll leave it at that. That's my comment on Rosemary Barton. She's been disappointing me a lot lately. Not saying anything more.
Be clear, the consumer is already paying more. These are marginal amounts, and two things are happening. One, with our plan, is that it gives the companies more options. It gives households, Canadian households who are hard-pressed. Look, I was across the prairies, it's minus 30 in the prairies. It'd be good to be able to insulate your house better, to drive other efficiencies. So it helps that. And may I make one other point, which is one of the things we have to be able to do as Canada is we have to get our companies more competitive. It's a big, bad world out there. Sorry. It's a big, bad world out there. The people with whom we are more likely to trade with, now that our closest trading partner is attacking us, cares about carbon emission reduction. You look at the European Union, look at the major... So
I need to move on. I need to move on because we don't have a lot of time. And you are saying that you're going to take away the carbon rebate, obviously, as well as the carbon tax, right? So, and you're promising a middle class tax cut. Who are you targeting? How broad is that, and how will you pay for it?
First off, thank you for raising that, because one of the core points is we don't just say axe the tax and then walk away. Don't care about our companies, don't care about their competitiveness, don't care about taking away the rebate. That's what Pierre Poilièvre does. Pierre Poilièvre doesn't care about the implication of his actions.
Well, he's going to give a tax cut as well. But
he doesn't twin the two, doesn't look, doesn't think the add up, doesn't think it matters. We'll do a broad-based middle-class tax cut. We'll release the details of that in the coming weeks as appropriate, and we'll show that Canadian households are coming out ahead.
Will you balance the budget, and how quickly?
A couple of things there. One of the things we're going to do later this week is go through our new fiscal, what I would propose as our fiscal rules. Core to that is to reduce spending of the government, so to balance our operational spending over the course of the next 3 years. To be absolutely clear, what that means in terms of operational spending, it is all the programs that the government runs. It is the transfers to provinces, which, as you know, health and education transfers. It's transfers to individuals. It's debt service, which continues to increase as government goes up. So we will balance that over 3 years. Where we are willing to borrow is to invest and grow this economy. That is an absolute crucial point.
So there'll be a deficit.
It is a fundamental difference between the approach the government has taken up until now. It is a fundamental difference between the approach of Pierre Poilièvre, which is a trickle-down, thousand flowers.
But there will be a deficit. It'll just be, you'll justify it because it's investing in the economy. Is that?
Investing in the economy at a time when we absolutely have to build as a country. And let me be clear about what investing in the economy means. It means precious taxpayers' dollars catalyzing many multiples of private dollars to build homes, to build the new energy infrastructure, both conventional oil and gas, clean energy, to build out our new AI systems, and to build out new trade corridors, all of which are fundamentally necessary if we are going to grow this economy, irrespective of how President Trump is feeling on one day or another.
You talk about building new infrastructure, including pipelines. Do you support the...
So let's make this very clear. He's looking at doing the accounting in two different ways, right? Operational spending and then the other stuff. Because every time we run a deficit, let's say we have to have a big infrastructure project. Right. Oh my God, we're running a deficit. It's like, so this way he said, okay, let's distinguish the two. There's the operational budget. If we go over on there, right, that's, you know, we could howl because that one. But the stuff that we need to do to transform our economy, to decouple from the United States, like I said, the stuff that we need to do now, that's going to cost money. That's not free. And you can't stop doing the other stuff because you're doing that. So we're going to account for that. We're going to keep a separate ledger for that so you'll know what's what. So you can't point to the overall number and say, hey, they're destroying the economy, because the number that's going to show the deficit is the number that's showing what we're building in the country. And the number that will be balanced is just the running, the day-to-day running of things.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
And here's the thing, like just Linda says, he is looking at long-term versus reactionary to the chaos of the U.S. I said this the day he announced his candidacy for Liberal leader. I said, I think he is the right man at the right time. And I still believe that. I think Karina Gould is the future. And I want to see her as prime minister someday. I sincerely mean that, because I think Karina Gould is what this country needs in the future. But I think right now, at this moment, this crucial moment in time, the prime minister stepping down, resigning, and we don't know that Mark Carney is going to be the Liberal leader. We don't. He's running.
Yep.
He might not get it. We don't know how people are going to vote.
There could be an anybody but Carney campaign, right? You don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. He could be the next Liberal leader, which would make him the next Prime Minister of Canada. I firmly believe he's the right man at the right time at this crucial moment in our history, because he can take on Donald Trump and he won't bat an eyelash. He won't blink. He will stand tall and fight. And you got to remember something that Mark Carney and I have in common. We're only a couple of years apart. We're both goaltenders. We know how to play defense. We know how to protect our team.
Yep.
And Mark Carney is an intellect. Mark Carney is an accomplished individual who is respected globally. Matter of fact, he saved Ireland.
Yep.
Not a lot of people are aware of that, but Ireland worshipped that man. He kept them from going right down the tubes. That is a fact. And that is largely why the Bank of England said, excuse me, sir, would you please be our governor? We would like you to be our governor. I believe Karina is the future, but I think Mark Carney is the man for right now. And I truly hope, for every Canadian's sake, including the Conservatives who see themselves as Conservatives and not Canadians, for their sake too, I think he's the right man at the right time to steady the waters, steady the ship, and pull us through. Maybe I'll be. I see that. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. That's entirely possible, but I don't think so. I'm seldom wrong about things like this. Seldom. I get things wrong constantly. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. But I truly believe he's the right man at the right time. Right. If somebody can present to me a cogent argument as to why I'm wrong about that, I'd be happy to listen to you. I'd be happy to listen to what you have to say. But nobody's been able to do that yet. Right. And here's the thing. The thing that a lot of people need to understand, he's running for Liberal leader, but Mark Carney is more like Joe Clark. In that, or like Wab Kinew. Wab Kinew is the NDP leader and the Premier of Manitoba, but he's more of a Joe Clark progressive conservative than he is an Ed Broadbent NDPer. Yeah. I think Mark Carney is more of a Joe Clark progressive conservative than he is a left-leaning centrist. I think he's definitely centrist. I think he leans a little bit more to the right. And I know a lot of conservatives who actually like the man because they know his record is impeccable. And I've talked to some older fellas who said, I think he'd make a good prime minister.
Yeah. All right. Keep it going.
I'll bring it right back. 1 second. And I got to step away for a moment here to take care of something. Just go off the camera. And I'll be right back. And here we go.
The idea of a west-east pipeline?
Look, I support the concept. I also know that Canada is a federation. First, let me say a couple of things. One is that we, as a nation, need to build some new pipelines for conventional energy. There are several options that are on the table. Some of them are quite advanced. Others of them are not. The Energy East, to use that term, has not progressed that much. It could restart, but there's not currently a sponsor. There's not progress there.
Would your government be a proponent of that pipeline if it were to start again, given that the government bought a pipeline in the past?
A couple of things. One is that what my government would do is, and we've signaled this very clearly, we would use extraordinary powers of the federal government in order to accelerate the approvals for such pipelines, to accelerate the approval for clean energy.
Like repealing C-69? What does that mean?
We have extraordinary powers on impact assessment as well as others, and we can delegate authority. But let me make a core point, which is Canada is a federation. So we take decisions. There's not one decision maker here. If you listened to Pierre Poilièvre yesterday, as you probably did, he didn't mention the provinces once. He never mentioned First Nations. He acted as if it's just his decision to fly in somewhere and decide which pipeline happened. So Energy East, Northern Gateway, GNL, there's many others, these examples, interties between electricity grids, big trade corridors. Those are decisions that have to be taken in consultation with provinces, with First Nations. We need to do those rapidly, and one of the things I'm proposing, and one of the things I would do as Prime Minister, is quickly convene First Ministers. First and foremost, for free trade in Canada, we need one economy here, not 13. But secondly, and relatedly, is to advance some of these major projects. Let's decide which ones we want to build, and then let's get on with building.
When you were chair of Brookfield Management, you took on that role with the Liberal Party to advise the Prime Minister about economic growth. At the same time, Brookfield was looking to create a Canadian fund, was trying to get access to Canadian pension funds and federal money. Were you part of that bid, and was that appropriate?
I was not part of that bid. I'm not sure I recognize the full description of how you said it, but I was not part of that, no.
You resigned from more than 20 corporate boards, I think?
Not corporate boards. Most of those boards were philanthropic or charity.
You are not yet subject to ethics requirements.
I don't have any power, Rosie.
No, but would you put anything out there for Canadians to better understand your business dealings and your financial picture before you're elected?
Obviously, I'm going to comply with all the ethics guidelines, conflicts of interest guidelines, blind trust.
But during an election, before you have a seat, would you be willing to show Canadians what they're dealing with and what you've been dealing with?
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I was UN Special Envoy for Climate Action. I was chair of chair of Brookfield on a number of philanthropic boards and did a lot of charity and other work. So that's all disclosed in the public domain. I will immediately subject myself, if I am elected Liberal leader, of course I'm going to immediately subject myself to all the ethics guidelines, conflicts of interest guidelines, other guidelines in order to pursue.
You've been part of, in all of these various jobs that you've had, in some pretty elite circles, royals, celebrities, world leaders. Do you feel like you, in that position, understand what Canadians are going through right now in terms of their cost of living?
I think, yes. I mean, I understand that Canadians, the average income, household income in Canada is $70,000. There's been a huge increase in the price level over the course of the last 5 years. Groceries more expensive. Housing has outstripped the ability of most younger Canadians to save for deposits and get on the housing ladder. So I understand that. What the advantage of my experience as Governor of the Bank of Canada, working internationally, working with companies, et cetera, as an investor as well, is I know what to do about it. I know how to change it. We started this discussion about how are we going to react to the United States. This is not a theoretical exercise. It is a practical exercise. You have to understand what's going to drive investment in this economy. Let's be clear. There's huge uncertainty that's been put on us because of the Americans, because of the global situation. We need to take that away. We need to drive investment.
Yes.
I'm here because I have that experience, because I know how to manage crises, because I know how to grow economies.
But what you don't know how to do, with all due respect to you, is be a politician, because you've never done it before. And if you win, you would be the first Prime Minister who's never had an elected seat and never held office of any.
Oh, Rosie.
It's a fair question.
I know, but she's trying to come up with a gotcha. It's fair. It is.
It also gives them an opportunity to answer it, though, right?
Yeah.
Any kind. Why should Canadians believe that you're up to this job?
Well, it's a decision. Canadians will, first off, my first job is to be elected leader of the Liberal Party. So members of the Liberal Party, which have more than quadrupled over the course of the last month, and I've played a role in helping to cause that change, will decide who they want as their leader, and I'll be elected by or not by those individuals. Then Canadians, in short order, will get a decision whether or not which government they want to return to Ottawa. We will put forward a very clear plan for this country at a moment of crisis, not just to grow the economy, crucial, and we can do that. We have the experience in order to do that, but also to protect the vulnerable in this country. By the way, another thing Mr. Poilièvre did not mention yesterday. It's as if nobody is disabled in this economy. Nobody is old. Nobody is unemployed. As if nobody needs any support or help. It's just the economy.
Why get into politics right now? Have you been offered positions in the past?
I have been offered positions in the past. I was offered, for example, Prime Minister Harper asked me if I would be his finance minister in 2012. It wasn't appropriate to proceed with that. I didn't.
Why wasn't it appropriate to proceed with that?
Well, I was governor of the central bank at the time, and I didn't feel that it was appropriate to go directly from being governor into elected politics. We're in a different, and there's been opportunities over time to join the Liberal Party and run. Why am I here now? Because we're in a crisis. This, for better or worse, my career, my experience prepares me for this moment.
Why should Canadians believe you'll do anything differently, though, than Justin Trudeau? You've advised him. You've given him advice. You've been a Liberal. So what is going to be markedly different here?
Well, there's several things. First, you started by a few moments ago mentioning that I had 20 different responsibilities. I had 3 full-time jobs. How much time do you think I spent advising the government, quote unquote?
Well, if you listen to Conservatives, you were doing it all the time.
Well, yeah, if you listen to Conservatives, you think a lot of things that are wrong. We're very different people, Prime Minister and I. We have different backgrounds. I was born in the Northwest Territories. He was born in Rideau Hall. I'm a hockey goalie. He's a snowboarder. I focus on the economy. He has had a different focus for Canada. I think we have the same values, and we try and achieve the same ends. For this moment of crisis, for this moment where we have to get our economy not just on track, but build it to be the strongest economy in the G7. That's what my experience, that's where it's directly relevant. And the other thing that's, if I may, I think is different between him and I, is my experience in all these different organizations and things over the years is the importance of team, the importance of delegating authority, bringing the team along. We've got a lot of experience on the Liberal bench. I want to draw on that experience. I want to add to that experience and bring in outside expertise. There's some big differences, and there'll be big changes because the moment demands big changes.
Compare and contrast, kids and cubs.
Yeah.
Who do you want managing the economy if the economy is your issue? Who do you want in the room across from whoever Donald Trump picks? Say, you're going to deal with this guy.
I mean,
Axe that tax. Or we should divide the budget into two things, operational and capital projects, so that we can divide and be extreme.
yeah. He will not give you a noun the verb slogan, or verb the noun slogan, I should say. He won't do that because, well, A, he's really smart. Number one, he will not kowtow to the lowest common denominator. He will talk at a level most Canadians can understand and comprehend. He may talk above our heads a little bit from time to time. And there's times when that is, without question, absolutely necessary. It's a simple matter of fact of the job that he's trying to get.
Yep.
But he will be, like I said, he's the steady hand to right the ship during a storm that we've never seen before in our lifetimes. The world hasn't seen this since 1933. It's almost 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's really something. All right. Mr. Grizzly, there's a couple of little things that I'm going to send you. They're quick little hits. Because when we're doing compare and contrast, we are comparing and contrasting Carney and Poilièvre at the moment. But there's a couple of other people with whom to contrast. So the first, there's 4 tweets that I got for you. The first 2 are just images. And I believe the first one is the portion of Kennedy's speech that Pierre kind of lifted.
Okay, so I'm just going to go from the top down. You want me to start at the
let's
first?
go from the top down.
Okay. All right, hang on. So here we go. Let me just change this up and throw this up and not throw it up, put it up. I'm not throw it up. My goodness. Poilièvre copied his Canada First from Trump's America First. Now he's plagiarized the President JFK speech. Pierre Poilièvre used an Ottawa rally to deliver a message to Donald Trump. We will bear any burden and pay any price to protect the sovereignty and independence of our country. February 15th, 2025. JFK, January 20th, 1961. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. You copied Canada First, Canada Last, Canada Always from Laurier. Deport people. I'm not aware of more than 2 genders. Gut foreign aid. Addicts are the real fentanyl kingpins. Militarize the border are copied from Trump. Even bring it home is Trump's.
And you're going to see that a little later, by the way. Now, the second one, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Sincerest form.
Yes, but Pierre said highest.
Well, I know. The exact same playbook. Canada first, America first, always.
So for those listening at home, we're showing pictures of Trump and Pierre behind podiums with, well, the only thing different is the name of the country, but everything else is pretty much the same. Now, the Liberals have put out 2 very short internet-only ads pinpointing 2 very, very specific things about Pierre that's making this alleged pivot, rebrand, not very particularly believable.
You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Fake news.
Fake news.
The left-wing censorship regime.
Woke censorship ideology.
Turned our once great cities into cesspools of bloodshed and crime.
Unleashed a crime wave like we have never seen.
We have to stop with political correctness.
We're not going to succumb to political correctness.
Defeating the radical left.
Radical leftist authoritarian agenda.
We want those great Canadian truckers to know that we are with them all the way.
I'm proud of the truckers and I stand with them.
You give us a chance.
Your organization.
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance?
We have basically a liberal heckler who snuck in here today.
America first.
Canada first.
Bring it home, right?
Bring it home.
It's a foreign aid freeze.
I plan to cut foreign aid more.
It's a foreign aid freeze.
The folks at 22 minutes weren't wrong.
Oh my God, they nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
When they see that skit there, Pierre Poilièvre's platform is Trump's. And the last one.
This one is, well, just enjoy.
How can you speak for Canada?
Canada is broken.
When you think
It's
Canada
not
is
the Americans' fault. It's our fault. We're stupid.
Everything in Canada is broken. Canada is broken. Everything is broken in Canada. Everything is broken. Everything is broken. Everything is broken. Everything is broken. Everything is broken.
I think
Pierre
Canada
Poilièvre.
would be much.
Pierre Poilièvre, wrong choice, wrong time. I don't know who's in the Liberals' comms, but somebody has game all of a sudden.
Yep.
They're short and they are effective.
Oh yeah.
And they should be on a loop on every YouTube video aired in Canada. Again and again and again.
Oh yeah. Just
Yeah.
keep it going. I know.
Now, if you're wondering why Skippy might be having some difficulties lately, kids and cubs, well, again, you know, I know not everybody is into the whole polling thing, but there have been some developments because, you know, even if you're not in the polling thing, at some point when you see a trend and the trend is really obvious and marked, you can't avoid noticing it. I mean, it's right in your face. So, Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to send you something, and kids and cubs, I am going to say he called it.
Okay.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I told you that, you know, you might want to be looking for this in the polls coming soon. And some of the things have happened that I said that you should be looking for. And there's probably, so camera just went weird here. There's probably more to come if the Nanos weekly numbers keep on showing up like they have been. So let's start with the first of the two graphs, Mr. Grizzly.
Okie dokie. Oh, sorry, not that one. That one? No, you want the graph?
Yeah. No, the first. Yeah, okay. There we go. Yeah.
Up.
So that one. Okay, whichever one, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the seat projection. That looks like a hockey stick.
Yeah.
On the Liberal side,
straight
going up.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sharp decline there for Conservatives. And this is the popular vote projection.
42 to 29 plus or minus 4%.
Okay. Now, we're looking at the Liberal, whatnot, but in those two, in the seats, look at what the NDP number and what the Bloc number is doing.
They're both dropping.
And I'll go for the seats. Back to the seats.
1 second. There we go. 37, 11, 101, 192.
What are the NDP at?
11.
11.
Yeah.
It's not even a party status. All right. So I've been keeping track over the past few weeks about what's going on there. And 6 reporting periods ago, kids and cub, they were saying, this is 338, the aggregator, saying that the Conservatives were going to win by 201 seats. Then 5 weeks ago, it was by 200 seats. Then 4 weeks ago, it was 197. 3 weeks ago, 191. 2 weeks ago, 157. Last week, 121.
Yeah, they're panicking.
This week, 91. 91. From 201 seat advantage to a 91 seat advantage in 6 weeks, it's cut more than half.
Massive.
In the last 3 weeks, the Liberals have been gaining 30 seats at least.
Well, and again, I'm not a fan of polls, but that's the biggest.
You can't deny that trend.
And not only that, it's like he had the biggest gap, and he's lost it. And how has he lost it? People didn't. Well,
kept talking.
That, but couple it with the fact that people were not hating on the government of Canada. It was leader fatigue. They just wanted Justin Trudeau gone. And now that Mark Carney has stepped up to the plate, and again, we don't know if he gets elected. There's no guaranteeing. We don't know what's going to happen. Right. So, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Now, there are, if you could put the seat projection one up, Mr. Grizzly, there are 3 milestones that could be hit if you think the Conservatives are panicking now. 3 different milestones that will, if they are hit, will create a ratcheting up in the panic. Each one that is hit, which means that the level of attacks will become way more shrill, way more strident, and the attacks will become much more elaborate and fantastical. The first one is, if you look at that purple sort of purple or blue CPC line, it's still in majority territory.
Yeah. Currently.
Barely. If that line crosses below, if the graph crosses below that line, there's going to be some serious panic starting in the Conservative benches and in Jenny Byrne's office in particularly. And I would guess, based on the NATO's numbers that were there, that we should probably be seeing that, if not this week, next week. The second one is if those 2 lines start to intersect. Because we have some polls that show that if you put, the Liberals led by Mark Carney, some of them saying that he would win a majority. So, but that's an aggregate, right? It's rolling polls. The older polls are still in there. Some of them are being taken off over time. The weight goes down. So as the newer polls come in, they have bigger weight and they will adjust things. Well, if most of the newer polls are showing the Liberals positively into the 30s and rising and the Conservatives decreasing, those aggregate lines are going to go up. So some of the aggregate lines don't necessarily match the highest or best polls that you've seen, nor the lowest, because they're somewhere in the middle, right? There's a calculated weighted average of all of them based on recency and the reliability of the pollster, how large the sample size, the margin of error, that type of stuff. They're each given a weight that it comes down. So there are still some more positive polls to come. So if those 2 lines should intersect, there will be another level of panic. And then the third one, of course, is if the Liberal line crosses that little magical line into majority territory, then get prepared for the party to engage in a lot of backbiting and accusations and ready, fire, aim amongst each other.
Well, I'm going to...
Because Conservatives don't treat each other very well when they're losing.
I'm going to... I think this is funny from Mademoiselle Fox. Don't get me going on poll stats, or I'll pull out my Fortran book and write some code on the margins of error. Well done. Well done, my love. I do want to share one graphic with you. We talked about this earlier today. We got to wrap up, but I want to share this one graphic with you because I had to dig for it, but I found it. Approval rating, Donald Trump. Question, do you approve or disapprove of the way the following individuals are handling their jobs? Donald Trump, President of the United States. Nationally, 7% don't know or no response. 74% disapprove, 18% approve. When they go to political parties, the Liberal Party, 98% disapprove, 2% approve. The Conservative, 41% approve, 44% disapprove, and 15% don't know or didn't respond. NDP, 96% disapprove. 2% approve and 2% don't know, don't respond. The Green Party, 97% disapprove, 3% don't know, no response. People's Party of Canada, Mad Maxime Bernier, 72% approval rating, 18% disapproval, and 10% no response. The Bloc Québécois, 96% disapprove, 4% don't know or no response. This is a sample size of 1,346 people. Says plus or minus 2.7%, 19 times out of 20, February 6th to the 11th of 2025 of this year. 41% of the Conservative respondents approve of Donald Trump. I mean, 72% for the People's Party, but the PPC is meaningless. They don't have a seat. Come on. They might as well call themselves the Rhinoceros Party, right? You remember the Rhinoceros Party?
I do remember the Rhinoceros. They're still around, really? I think. Yeah, I think so. In Quebec, they're still around. All right, Mr. Grizzly, there's one last thing I would like to show the kids, and I think you'll probably know what it is. Our good friend
Nate.
I
reached out to him. I sent him a message. I said, dude, if you want to come and talk with us on our channel, if you can, I don't know that you can actually talk to us right now.
Well, that's the thing, is because we were in talks to get him on the show, and now I don't know if that's possible because of this thing that came down. Kids and Cups. Now we've been telling you a lot about the Daniel Smith, AHS, Adriana Lagrange type thing. As you may know, Nate had a sort of slap suit put on him for $6 billion to get him to stop talking about these types of things. He has an announcement to make.
It's emotional.
It's not complete. It's emotional. It's not completely clear what it is that happened that made him decide that this had to be done at this time. It's not revealed, but let's play it.
Good evening, and welcome to what is going to be a fairly brief episode of The Breakdown tonight. I'm going to be reading tonight for a whole list of reasons. Since we began, one of the goals of The Breakdown has been to help people better understand politics so that they can have a better understanding of the issues facing our province, so that they can potentially do something about the issues that they care about, and maybe even take an active role in helping the province move in a better direction. Advocacy is important. I'm very proud of the role that The Breakdown has played in advocating for greater awareness of issues facing Albertans and holding people in positions of power and influence to account when they abuse that power and betray the trust of the people that they are supposed to represent. There are guardrails that are supposed to exist in our society for people with power and influence. And while there is no shortage of bad faith actors who are actively working to disassemble those guardrails, that doesn't mean that the guardrails are structures that the rest of us can or should ignore. If anything, it makes the choice to honor and follow those guardrails more important. This is all a very long-winded way of saying that rules are important. Following the rules that make up our society is important. Social contract is the idea that if you live in a society and enjoy the benefits of living in that society, you're obligated to follow the rules that are agreed upon by that society. It also means that if you disagree with the rules, you will have to follow the methods and mechanisms that have been created and agreed upon to change those rules. If you don't do this, you betray that society and end up in a bouncy castle or an inflatable hot tub in the middle of the nation's capital. Or you grow a neck beard. Hey, Davey. Speaking for myself now. Over the last couple of months, the breakdown coverage of certain issues has played a small part in elevating some of those issues to a much higher level of awareness in the overall provincial conversation. Just a few days ago, it was brought to my attention that there were allegedly people in the Premier's office who tried to exert pressure to have me fired from the job that I have held for almost a decade and a half as an advanced care paramedic in Calgary. I want to be very clear. That is not why I'm announcing what I'm announcing tonight. As many of our regular audience is aware, recently the show and I have been the subject of legal action against us. On Friday, developments occurred wherein I and the breakdown were instructed by court order to perform certain actions. In consultation with my legal team, there is no way for me to complete what the court has ordered and keep the breakdown social media operational in the time frame that I have been provided. For that reason, starting Tuesday evening, the breakdown social media will begin to be unpublished for what I hope will only be a short period of time. This includes the Twitter page, and yes, it's still Twitter to me, the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and our Blue Sky account, as well as all of our YouTube content. Additionally, there will be no new posts to any of our social media above and beyond this one. If I did not follow the demands of the court while they are in place, I would be no different than many of the people that I and the show criticize. And I don't want to grow a neck beard. Hey, Davey. I do not know how long this will be for or exactly when the breakdown will be allowed to return. But I do want everyone to know that this is by no means to be taken as any kind of an indication that I or the show are giving up. I intend to fight this action, and through my legal team have already started taking steps to do just that. I would be irresponsible if I didn't acknowledge that I am only able to fight this because of your support. I'm able to fight this not only because of the financial support that you have provided through our GoFundMe, which can be found at savethebreakdownab.ca, but because of the support that you have given the show. I want to be very clear. Any small influence that the breakdown has ever been able to have on the political conversation in this province has been entirely because of you. Your voices, whether it's been through retweets or likes to push the algorithm, or most importantly, talking to your friends and family and writing your elected officials, is where the real power in this province lies. And it always has been. I won't ever forget that, and nobody should. I am very hopeful that this will be a short-lived hiatus. I'm hopeful that we will be back and running at full speed very soon. But on the off chance that this is it until the entirety of the legal process that the show and I are facing has run its course, I want again to just say this. Thank you. Thank you for all of the kind words, for all of your support, and for choosing to spend some of your precious time with the show. You've all given me far more than I could ever put into words. So until we're able to return, take care of each other and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, that was tough. I watched that last night and I did get emotional about it because Nate is a good man and he's being railroaded.
Yep. And all I will say is note that it is the people who have been yelling into our ears for the last 3 or 4 years that it is Justin Trudeau that wants to censor the internet and monitor what it is that you say and shut you down. He's got like about a month and a half to get started on that if he's going
Yeah.
to do that. Who have just done that to Nate.
Yeah, the UCP, the Conservative government of the province of Alberta, is shutting down somebody's voice.
It seems that it has something to do with the court. Right, there's a court. So that's why I mean, we don't know what the court said or why it is, what instructions they gave, and all that type of stuff. But yeah, the fact that there is a lawsuit in the first place,
and
the fact that we just found out from AHS CEO, former CEO Athana Metsalopoulos, that she was asked.
Yeah,
she was told to fire.
Well, and please take note, he had an $80,000 goal on his legal defense fund GoFundMe. He's up to $139,000, and it's rising rapidly. 633 people just donated.
Yes, somebody, he was at 83. He was at 80-something thousand last night.
Look at this anonymous donation, $2,500. Holy shit! There are people in this country who care about the truth, who care about facts, who care about. Well, I mean, Nate's show is like our show. We want people to know what's going on because they're not getting it from legacy media. This is why we have a show. And I hope that we don't find ourselves in the same situation.
Me too.
It's entirely possible if we piss off the right conservative, they'll come for us and silence us because, you know, they're all about freedom and free speech unless we say something that runs afoul of their ideology. And I kind of do that on the regular, don't I?
Probably. So yeah, according to Nate here, it says here, "Hi, my name is Nate Pike, and I host the Alberta Politics podcast, The Breakdown. And I need your help because I'm being sued for $6 million by one of the most controversial figures in Alberta politics. Over the last year, The Breakdown has been providing commentary and research into the ongoing scandal involving the province of Alberta's procurement of masks and medication through a company called MH Care, run by Edmonton businessman Sam Raish, as well as the ongoing coverage of Sam Raish hosting UCP ministers, MLAs, and staffers attending hockey games in Sam Raish's skybox. The masks reportedly had a lot of problems. There's a link to whatever that is. The medication not only allegedly had problems, but because of the way the deal was structured, taxpayers' money is currently earning a Turkish company a lot of money in interest, while Albertans have very little to show for the deal. We broadcast an episode on this a while back, and we were even in contact with a law firm representing Mr. Resch in the run-up to the show with the clear communication that if we made any factual errors, we would welcome correction. That episode can be viewed here. Despite the fact that we have made sure all of our commentary has been rooted in either established publicly reported facts or publicly available corporate records, both I and the show have become the target of what we believe is a SLAP lawsuit, which is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. SLAP suits are designed to silence voices. I and the show refuse to be silenced. Too often today, the rich and the powerful use their massive resources to try and silence critical voices. I believe that we need to stand up to the rich and powerful. I also believe that all of our coverage has been truthful, accurate as possible, in the public interest and fair comment, and I stand by it. While the show does not enjoy modest support through our Patreon page, I work professionally as a paramedic in Calgary and do not have the resources to fight back against what I believe is a completely unfounded and spiteful lawsuit. Please help. If you believe in the importance of freedom of expression and of being able to hold the rich and powerful to the same standards that everyone else is held to, please contribute what you can. Thank you, and I, the show, will remain committed to keeping the conversation going for as long as we possibly can. So if you would like to support Nate, it's at GoFundMe.com. He's at GoFundMe, and just look for the Nate Pike Legal Defense Fund. And that will bring you there. And I posted a link in the chat. Yeah. All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
Indeed, sir.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, share, gifts, caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to support us by making sure you don't miss an episode, especially if you're listening on podcast, well, you don't have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl who sponsored our pod page, podpage.com/TheTrueNorthEagerBeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the bat with, it will come directly to you. Now, if you'd like to support us in other ways, then you need to make like Kit and Elaine and surf yourself on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and click on our buttons, like, share, and subscribe. If you flick them, we get ourselves a little bit of happy. So thank you so much for that. And it helps us with the algorithm. Now, if you'd like to help us in yet another way, well, we do have a hit tip jar if you think that what we do has value and you would like to support us and encourage us to do more. We always appreciate it when you drop by and leave a little something in there. We call it the Emergency Hydration Fund, but it really is just our tip jar. And you can find it at ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. All in one word. And if you go there and leave something, we will be very grateful. And every donation actually makes you 17.8% more interesting at parties. We've tested it in our labs. The numbers don't lie. We got it right down to the decimal. And since we are mentioning that, we would like to give a thank you to Kit Norm from 1957, who says, "Cheers, fellas," and sent us a little something that for which we are very grateful. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. All right. Let's see. Because democracy is something that you do. Remember, Quebec Liberal leadership race. We will get to it. I promise. But find out who your candidates are. Ontario election. There was a debate on Friday on Northern Affairs. So go and check that out. And there's another debate tonight, I believe, at 6:30. This is the big network one. So if you want to tune into that and find out what's going on, that would be pretty important. And of course, the Quebec Liberal leadership race, all candidates, today was the last day for the final $125,000. Apparently all 5 candidates have it. So we have 5 candidates and we're getting ready for the debates on the 24th and the 25th. For those of you following the Four Nations thing, Canada had to win against Finland today in regular time in order to be able to advance to the final. So far, we're in the second period, and Canada is leading Finland 4-0. So far, it is looking pretty good. And if you are a big fan of the Scott Tournament of Hearts, because you're curling, that's on right now. And there's been some really great moments, including Team Quebec, who scored a 7 in one end yesterday, which is pretty rare. And an 8-ender is the most you could get. So a 7-ender was a pretty big deal. So, and Rachel Homan, who is the defending champion, looks like she is going to be doing well because her win record this year going into the Scotties is absolutely ridiculous. I think over the last 2 years, she's like 100 something at 11. She's only like lost 5 matches this year or something. Her win percentage going into the Scotties is 92%. So unless something happens, it looks like it's a home and freight trade here. But this team is just... Last year, they went into the Scotties with 88% win record, and they won. This year, they're going in with 92. So I don't know how it is they managed to keep on getting better, but they do. But there's some amazing curling going on. So please have some time to tune in. And yesterday was the big Sandra Schmirler Foundation Day. Sandra Schmirler was a famous Canadian curler. And she started a foundation for young children who need NICU services because they're more premature and need some help. And Canadians rose to the occasion again, donating over $1.1 million yesterday to the foundation. So way to step up, Canada. You are the Canadians who make us proud today.
Excrement.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock.
I can do that. You know, I have the technology.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
I have to show you something here. I don't know if you've seen this. It's 2 tweets. The first one from Tamara Lead. Some of us were proud of our flag long before it became trendy. And I don't know, where did it go? Shit. I don't know what just happened there. Let me go back and find it. I don't know what just happened there.
Yeah. Except, listen, like, I agree with the convoyers. They were proud of the flag. They flew it everywhere. They flew it upside down. However, that was a twist I didn't expect. But
so we'll start with her tweet. Tamara's tweet. I got it fixed up here. Yeah, exactly. So Tamara's tweet. Some of us were proud of our flag long before it became trendy. And then if you scroll up, there's Michael Cooper.
Yeah.
There's somebody flying the Canadian flag upside down, and it has a swastika on it. As hard as you may try to spin the convoy occupation, there's always a photo. This is not pride in our flag, Miss Leach. And what's interesting is somebody says, was that your personal flag or is that a photoshopped image? Because I never saw a flag that was tampered with at the freedom protests. That was on national television.
It's the emblem of the.
It was on national television
live. The
live.
unofficial emblem. Oh my God!
They're trying to gaslight us. Don't let them do it.
I know.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Okay, go. No, you got something?
Just an image, if you'll put it up. One more Canadians that make us proud. Our short track speed skating team. This year, they had it was the inaugural Team Crystal Globe. So all the races, all the season, add up all the points. Who's the best team? Team Canada.
Canada wins the Crystal Globe.
Yes.
I don't know if I pronounced that incorrectly.
Yes. Well, yeah, William Danjanu won the Crystal Globe in the men's event specifically, but Canadians won the whole damn thing. Canada was awarded the first ever Team Crystal Globe, which is based on the results from every race this season. The Ice Maples topped the final standings with 8,731 points, 1,812 more than the second place finishers.
Wow.
It wasn't even a blowout. And the second place finishers were the Netherlands and speed skating.
Speed skating in the Netherlands is
now this is short track.
Hockey in Canada.
Yeah, which is short track. This is short track, not long track, because just more long, but still. Because and then South Korea, that has been the dominant power for a long time. Third. So way to go, Ice Maples. Kicking ass. All right. Have a beaver-ific day, everyone.
I'll see you.